Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Fantasy. The more children I have, the stronger I am. Chapter 21. Have you reached the 8th level of Qi training? Shen Wanbai said in disbelief. The last time we met, Li Tianyi's cultivation was only at the 6th level of Qi training. It is obviously a useless spiritual root of the 5 elements. Why is the cultivation speed so fast? He has to catch up with himself. Today's Shen Wanbai has a middle-grade spiritual root, which is only the 5th level of foundation building. A lucky breakthrough and an unexpected encounter. Li Tianyi said with a smile. The reason why I can make such rapid progress in cultivation is thanks to my children. Without his children, his cultivation would not be able to progress so quickly. Master is right. Although some people have poor talents, they have good luck. I guess you are also the kind of person with good luck. Shen Wanbai said with emotion. She didn't ask too much about Li Tianyi's luck. This is the secret in everyone. Just like his master Bai Kelyu. Everyone knows that he had an adventure when he was young, but no one has ever asked what the specific adventure was. The only one who knows the truth about the adventure is himself. In the world of cultivating immortals, let alone couples sleeping in the same bed, even parents and children may fight over a chance encounter. Li Tianyi chuckled and said, maybe. Simply skip this topic. After one night, Shen Wanbai quickly put on her clothes and left Hunyuan City. I sneaked out this time. You must go back before dawn to avoid being discovered by others. Watching Shen Wanbai leave, Li Tianyi finally said, Senior, you can come out now. Except for the rustle of the wind, there was silence nearby. After a while, how did you find me? Finally, a graceful figure walked out of the darkness and took off his disguise. She is Mang Jingwei, who was arranged by Ji Yu Qingxi to follow Shen Wanbai. During this year, Shen Wanbai thought that the person monitoring him must have run out of patience. Only with Li Tianyi's permission did he come to Hunyuan City. But what she didn't expect was that the people following her were extremely patient. I wonder who the senior is. Li Tianyi asked respectfully. It's all part of his plan. He deliberately wanted to hook out the person hiding behind Shen Wanbai. However, in order to prevent live broadcast, Shen Wanbai was specially asked to use a shielding formation when she and Shen Wanbai were pruning potted plants. At first Shen Wanbai thought it was Li Tianyi who was worried about being seen and heard by others. Little did he know that Li Tianyi was guarding against people in the dark. Mang Jingwei said calmly, I am the second elder of Funan sect, Mang Jingwei. It turns out to be Senior Mang. Li Tianyi smiled. You haven't answered my question yet, how did you find me? Mang Jingwei asked. He is a monk at the 8th level of the Golden Core. Li Tianyi is a monk at the 8th level of Qi training, and it is absolutely impossible for him to discover his own aura. He hid himself so well that even Shen Wanbai, who was on the 5th level of the foundation building, didn't notice him. Actually, Senior Mang, I didn't discover you. Everything is based on guesswork. Li Tianyi explained. Guess, I understand. Mang Jingwei was not a fool and immediately understood that she had been deceived by Li Tianyi. If she had endured not showing up, Li Tianyi would never have discovered her. Now that he's shown up, let's show off his cards. Sir, the sect leader guessed that Shen Wanbai's man must be very talented to have such a high probability of giving birth to 2 geniuses with high-grade spiritual roots. Now it seems that he was wrong. Mang Jingwei could tell at a glance that Li Tianyi's spiritual roots were not good. But she didn't know what spiritual root it was. I have practiced a technique that allows me to use my spiritual energy to sense the quality of the opponent's spiritual root. Li Tianyi smiled but said nothing. Mang Jingwei suddenly stepped forward, causing Li Tianyi to take a step back subconsciously. Don't be nervous, I won't hurt you. No matter what, you are the father of the child. I don't want to wait until the genius grows up and learns the truth, and then turns against the sect. Show me your hands. Killing Li Tianyi was indeed a foolish act. After all, paper cannot cover the fire. If you don't want others to know, don't do anything except yourself. Mang Jingwei grabbed Li Tianyi's wrist and transferred a little bit of her spiritual energy into the other person's body. 5 elements waste spiritual root. It seems that you have had an unexpected encounter, otherwise you wouldn't be able to reach the 8th level of Qi training. Mang Jingwei frowned. I originally thought that Li Tianyi's talent was very poor and should be between ordinary and low grade. Who would have thought that Leeni is a useless spiritual root? It's a blessing to be able to reach the 3rd level of Qi training with this kind of cultivation. Being able to practice to the 8th level of Qi training must be a wonderful experience. As a strong person in the Golden Core stage, she didn't even bother to snatch Leeni's adventure. Because she knew very well that if Leeni's adventure was good, he would have broken through to the foundation building long ago, instead of only practicing the 8th level of Qi at the age of 45. So there is no need for her to do something that would harm her identity. Through the transfer of spiritual energy, Mang Jingwei knew Leeni's bone age and spiritual root. To be honest, a little disappointed. It seems that the previous speculation of the sect leader has come to nothing. It's just Shen Wanbai's luck. Remember, don't tell anyone what happened today, especially Shen Wanbai, do you understand? Mang Jingwei turned around and said. Please rest assured, Senior Mang, you know this and I know it, and no one else will know about it. Leeni said very sensibly. Mang Jingwei nodded with satisfaction and was about to leave. Leeni suddenly asked, may I ask Senior Mang what your spiritual root is? I am a good quality water spiritual root. Although she didn't know why Leeni asked this, Mang Jingwei still answered honestly. He summoned his lavender flying sword and flew out from Hunyuan City. The strong man of golden elixir is so terrifying. The momentum when the sword is flying is completely different from that in the foundation building stage. A good quality water spiritual root. Leeni touched his chin. If I could have a wife with good water spiritual roots, wouldn't I be able to have a child with super high spiritual roots? Didn't the cumulative consumption of 10,000 years of life be achieved all at once? It's a pity that the burning lifespan of using Qi practice Dzogchen blow is not counted as cumulative consumption. Otherwise, Leeni would not need to marry and have children. Just run into the wild and consume your life like crazy. Funan sect. As the 2nd elder of the Golden Core stage, Mang Jingwei, she was much faster than Shen Wanbai and reached Funan sect first. In the middle of the night, he entered the room of the sect leader Ji Yu Qingxi and told the sect leader everything he knew. 5 elements waste spiritual roots. This, are all my previous guesses wrong? Ji Yu Qingxi opened her eyes in confusion. Her previous guesses were so reasonable, but a truth directly overturned all her previous assumptions. This puts her face as a nascent soul powerful person to shame. Lord Sect Master, what's next for us? Since it is a waste spiritual root of the 5 elements, don't pay too much attention to it. A month later. Wanbai. Oh, forget it. What else did Bai Kelyu want to say? The words could only turn into a sigh when they reached his lips. I just told Shen Wanbai before that it was best not to go looking for that man again. Who would have thought that Shen Wanbai would be pregnant again? He must have gone to find that man behind his back. Master, Shen Wanbai really wanted to cry without tears. I never thought that every time I had an affair with Leeni, I would definitely get pregnant. Could it be that I am really infertile? Okay, don't say any more unnecessary words. Since you are pregnant, you can raise your baby with peace of mind and stay in the sect and concentrate on your cultivation. Bai Kelyu did not suggest Shen Wanbai abort the child this time. This is because the previous 2 children both had high-grade spiritual roots. He is even now imagining whether the child in Shen Wanbai's belly will have another high-grade spiritual root. Although he knew that his idea was a bit fanciful, Bai Kelyu still wanted to take a look. Shen Wanbai nodded and said, yeah. After giving birth to the child, she decided not to go to Leeni for the time being. Otherwise, how could I concentrate on practicing if I got pregnant all at once? He obviously has the same qualifications as his junior brother Li Xing, but he is about to be overtaken by him. Soon, the news about Shen Wanbai's pregnancy reached the ears of the sect elders and sect master. Although I don't know if Shen Wanbai's child this time will have a high-grade spiritual root, I have to say, the probability of her being pregnant is really high. Mang Jingwei couldn't help but sigh. In the past, her parents, as monks in the foundation building period, had worked hard to conceive her. After trying many methods, I finally got pregnant with myself. Who would have thought that Leeni could get a female monk pregnant so easily? This ability would probably make many couples with strong cultivation envious. When her child is born, remember to do a spiritual root test for her child. Ji Yu Qingxi didn't understand this. From the qi refining stage to the nascent soul stage, she never had a Taoist companion. Because she believes that Taoist companions will affect the speed of her practice. So she will turn a blind eye to any man's confession and words. Now he is even more powerful in the nascent soul stage. Basically no man dares to express his love to her. Yes, Lord Sect Master. Hunyuan City, Li family mansion. Li Tianyi, who was teasing his child, suddenly received a message from the system. Ding! The eldest son Li Xing went out on a sect mission and unexpectedly received a red spirit fruit. Red spirit fruit. Among so many children, one child finally had a little adventure. What is the red spirit fruit? Li Tianyi himself is not a monk in the world of immortality, but a casual cultivator. I don't know much about the world of immortality. If you have the opportunity next time, let the children copy a book that introduces common knowledge about the world of immortality to themselves. Anyway, Li Tianyi has nothing to do all day long, either spending time with his wife or children. Sir, Miss Wong of the Wong family is outside asking for an audience. Let her in. Yes. A minute later, Wang Shuangyao, led by the maid, walked quickly to Li Tianyi. I wonder why Shuangyao you want to see me. Li Tianyi handed over a cup of tea. Senior Li, I hope you can help our Wong family once. I know that it is not good to ask you for other things before the last kindness has been repaid. But our Wong family really needs your help now. If you are willing to help the Wong family will definitely repay you thousands of times. Wang Shuangyao was so anxious that she had no time to drink tea. He quickly stated his request. Something happened to the Wong family. The city lord and the heads of the other two families wanted to put pressure on the Wong family and give up part of their profits. But if this part of the benefits is given up, will the Wong family still be the same Wong family? By then, both financial resources and strength will be greatly reduced. It is very likely that he will completely withdraw from the stage of Hunyuan City. When the Wong family was in crisis, Wang Shuangyao thought of Senior Li Tianyi. During previous exchanges, she had heard Senior Li say that he had a child who was a direct disciple of the great elder in Fengyan sect. And Senior Li's own strength is also unfathomable. Wang Shuangyao immediately thought of asking Li Tianyi for help. Ask me for help, Shuangyao, you know me. How can I speak in Hunyuan City? Wouldn't it be better for you to ask your sister for help? Li Tianyi chuckled and put down the tea. In Hunyuan City, Li Tianyi can still help the Wong family. Even the realm of the city lord of Hunyuan City is only a perfect level of qi training. No, Senior Li, my sister is still practicing at the Thunder Sword sect. Far water cannot save the near fire. In addition, my sister seems to be in seclusion recently, and she hasn't responded to our letters for a long time. Wang Shuangyao said anxiously. After the accident happened to the Wong family had already written a letter to Wang Langlang. It's been over a month with no reply. Now it has reached a point of urgency. The Wong family no longer counted on Wang Langlang, so Wang De suggested that Wang Shuangyao come to Li Tianyi to see if he could try his luck. But Wang De and Wang Shuangyao knew it very well. The chance of Li Tianyi helping them is very low. In fact, the two families don't have much of a relationship. The only connection was that Li Tianyi had rescued Wang Shuangyao before, and the Wang family helped Li Tianyi find this nice mansion. Other than that, there is almost no contact between the two families. Even when Wang Shuangyao came to Li Tianyi, it was a year ago when he was testing his spiritual roots. I understand, Shuangyao, let me ask you a question. What is the problem? What do you think of me? Think, idea. Senior Li, what do you mean by this? Wang Shuangyao was stunned. I don't understand why Li Tianyi suddenly asked this. It's nothing, I just asked. You can answer or not. Li Tianyi smoothed his sleeves and said. Wang Shuangyao hesitated for a moment and then said, to be honest, Senior Li, after you rescued me, I have a very good sense of you. I even thought about marrying you before, but after seeing you taking in so many concubines, I gradually suppressed this idea. This is Wang Shuangyao's true inner thought. If Li Tianyi hadn't taken a concubine at the beginning, she might have gradually gotten along with Li Tianyi naturally. But Li Tianyi has too many women, and Wang Shuangyao is worried that if she marries Li Tianyi, she will also share a lot of love. This is where Wang Shuangyao hesitates. In order to avoid her random thoughts, she deliberately stopped seeing Li Tianyi. The other person is handsome, strong, and kind to you. For the girl Wang Shuangyao, she has great charm. That Shuangyao, will you marry me? Become my wife. After hearing Wang Shuangyao's thoughts about him, Li Tianyi no longer concealed his inner thoughts. With this system in place, if Li Tianyi is still so coquettish, it would be a shame for the system. This is like giving you a rich system, and you have to be stingy. This Senior Li is too abrupt. Li Tianyi said this. The anxiety in Wang Shuangyao's heart disappeared, replaced by shock and shyness. Has Senior Li always been so decisive about relationships? Really not prepared at all. Abrupt? I don't think so. When people are in this life, they are in love with each other and everything comes naturally. Why do you need to fiddle with it? Li Tianyi is very open-minded. What Senior Li said makes sense, but, now is not the time to talk. The main reason is that my Wong family is in trouble. Senior Li, if you help the Wong family tide over the difficulties, I will marry you, how about it? Wang Shuangyao gritted her teeth and said with a rosy face. I have already had different feelings for Li Tianyi. I have been avoiding this feeling before. Now that Li Tianyi has said this, she just followed this reason to break through the blockade in her heart. No problem. How could Li Tianyi refuse this good thing? You must know that Wang Shuangyao has a middle-grade spiritual root, the same as Shen Wanbai. I have already been salivating. What's more, Wang Shuangyao is very good-looking. She has a free and easy personality, likes to wear red dresses, and has a heroic heroine style. It gives people the illusion that they really want to conquer her. Then we've made a deal. Wang Shuangyao shyly turned around and ran away. She is not afraid that Li Tianyi will regret it. Watching Wang Shuangyao run away, Li Tianyi gradually came back to his senses. Next, he had to figure out the Wang family's predicament. The other side, Wang De felt extremely happy after learning that Li Tianyi was willing to help. However, when he learned that the condition was that Wang Shuangyao would marry Li Tianyi, Wang De refused again. I, Wang De, am not someone who would sell my daughter's body for the sake of my family. Don't worry, Shuangyao, even without the help of Senior Li, I can still lead the Wang family through the difficulties. Wang De shouted firmly. Father, it's okay, I. Wang Shuangyao quickly expressed what he was hiding in his heart. Wang De was stunned when he learned that his daughter Wang Shuangyao had actually had feelings for Li Tianyi for a long time. When did this happen? Why didn't my daughter tell me earlier? Shuangyao, what do you want me to say to you? Since you like her, you should say it earlier. Look, after all this trouble from you, what if you are married to Senior Li now? Your status has long been ranked 7th. The status Wang De refers to is the status of the wives in Li Tianyi's family. Now Li Tianyi has 1 wife and 5 concubines. Wang Shuangyao has just joined now, so he can only be ranked 7th. It's okay, father, what's the matter? Don't forget that I'm still a monk at the 7th level of Qi training. Wang Shuangyao raised her head proudly and said. She had already inquired about it. Li Tianyi's wife, Li Qingqing, is a monk at the 3rd level of Qi training, and the other concubines are only at the 1st level. If I marry Li Tianyi, wouldn't it be a devastating blow to Li Tianyi's wives? Besides, if I can't get the love of Li Tianyi among so many women, then blame your own abilities and charm. Forget it, it's up to you, as long as you like it. When Wang De saw his daughter saying this, what else could he say? He respects his daughter's wishes in everything. Otherwise, I wouldn't let my daughter stay at home. If it were other families, their daughters would have been married off long ago. With the push of the Wang family, in less than a day, the entire Hunyuan city knew that the eldest lady of the Wang family was going to marry Mr. Li. As soon as this incident came out, the other 2 families and the city lord were alarmed. They all couldn't figure out what the old guy Wang De was doing. Why did he marry his daughter so suddenly to an outsider who had just arrived in Hunyuan City for a year? Not only that, they also unexpectedly received a wedding invitation from Li Tianyi. Originally they didn't plan to go. After briefly taking a look at the contents of the letter, they were all shocked when they saw that Li Tianyi would invite his son and the great elder of Fengyan sect. This outsider's son is actually the direct disciple of Fengyan sect's great elder. To be able to become the personal disciple of the great elder of the sect, one must at least have good spiritual roots. How dare they refuse the invitation? Wedding day. The Lee family's mansion was decorated with lanterns and colorful lights, and the red light reached the sky, making it very lively. Ha ha ha, congratulations, Mr. Lee, for marrying a beautiful woman. Yes, Mr. Lee, today is your special day, please have a few more drinks. Easy to say, everyone. Li Tianyi is now in a state of great glory. Everyone's eyes remained on him. Patriarch Chen gave Patriarch Zhao a look, and Patriarch Zhao glanced at the city lord beside him, who nodded. Immediately afterwards, the Zhao family leader stood up with a smile and said, "Congratulations, Mr. Li, I heard that you have a child who is the direct disciple of the great elder in Funan sect. I wonder, where are they now?" They came here this time to verify whether Li Tianyi's words were true or false. If it is false, then their suppression of the Wong family will continue and become more brutal. But if it were true, they would stop immediately. After all, Wang Shuangyao is married to Li Tianyi. If you go against the Wang family, don't you mean you go against Li Tianyi? When the time comes, people will tell their sons what happened here, and with the power of Funan sect, they won't be able to bear it. Aren't they here? Li Tianyi raised his head and said. The words just fell. Everyone raised their heads and looked above their heads, only to see two figures riding flying swords and slowly landing in the middle of the night. The leader was a white-haired old man, with a long beard touching his chest, and his robes were blown by the wind, which made people feel like they were immortal. A young man following him turned out to be Li Tianyi's son, Li Feng. Now he is also a monk at the first level of foundation building. Father, congratulations. Today is your special day. I have specially brought you some gifts, as well as this red spirit fruit, which my elder brother asked me to give to you. Oh, by the way, this is my master, the great elder of Funan sect, Shi Ziyuan. Li Feng inherited the appearance of Li Tianyi and Shen Wanbai. Handsome, although there is still a childish look on his face, his youthful demeanor is clearly displayed. Before Li Tianyi could speak, the others all looked excited when they heard that Shi Ji was the great elder of Funan sect. You are the great elder of Funan sect. Senior Shi, we have heard about you for a long time. Yes, your deeds make us yearn for it. Come on, let's have a toast to our seniors. Facing the adulation from everyone, Shi Ziyuan glanced coldly, not to let these people close their eyes in fear. The aura belonging to the 9th level of the Golden Core stage rippled from him. It made countless drinking guests sit back in their chairs in fright. You are Fenger's father, Li Tianyi, right? Shi Ziyuan ignored the group of people and stepped forward to ask about Li Tianyi. It's me, Senior Shi. In fact, Li Tianyi did not invite Shi Ziyuan. Originally, he only invited his son Li Feng to see if he could use Li Feng's identity to suppress the momentum of these families. Who would have thought that in his reply, Li Feng said that his master, the great elder Shi Ziyuan, would also come with him. This surprised Li Tianyi. I have often heard Fenger mention that you are at the 8th level of Qi training. Being able to practice to this level with the talent of the 5 elements waste spirit root shows that you are a lucky person. This is my gift to you. I heard that you often ask Fenger to see if you can get some elixirs to keep your appearance. Judging from your appearance, you don't need it. It's most likely for your wife, right? This is the beauty pill, take it. Shi Ziyuan took out a small box from the space ring and handed it to Li Tianyi. The beauty pill is something that many female cultivators love to use. You can keep your appearance forever the moment you use the beauty pill. Of course, no monk who is confident in his talent would choose to take it. Because after reaching the nascent soul stage, you can directly change the age and appearance of your body. You can be as old as you want and as young as you want. Thank you, Senior Shi. Li Tianyi thanked. This was exactly what his wife needed, and she finally had it. By the way, Father, this is the red spirit fruit that elder brother gave you. It can increase your lifespan. I suggest you give this to Aunt Li first, and then give her the beauty pill. Li Feng suggested. The red spirit fruit is a relatively common fruit in the world of immortality. It can increase one's lifespan. One fruit can add 100 years to your life. Once you eat it during the Qi refining stage, it is equivalent to having the lifespan of a monk in the foundation establishment stage. The only drawback is that one person can only take up to 3 red spirit fruits. If you take more than 3 red spirit fruits, the red spirit fruit will lose its effect and become an ordinary fruit. Okay, Xinger is interested, please sit down quickly. Li Tianyi invited Shi Ziyuan and his son Li Feng to sit down. A quiet table was specially arranged for them to avoid being disturbed by other people. However, after Shi Ziyuan's spiritual pressure just now, other people would consider themselves first even if they wanted to say hello again. Just be honest. As it is, it looks pretty good. The heads of the two families and the city lord looked at each other and gave up their inner thoughts. They think everything is too simple. Li Tianyi's relationship is too hard. They can't break it apart. I can only hope that my family will be able to give birth to a qualified child in the future and see if he can climb the high branches of the sect. Sensing the expressions of the people nearby, Li Feng smiled with satisfaction. I came here specifically to stand up for my father. A warning to those guys with bad intentions who want to deal with their father, they must first see if their wrists are strong enough. Fenger, do you like your father very much? Shi Ziyuan asked without tasting the food on the table. He has gone off grain for a long time and has not eaten for a long time. Even if he eats food, it is only spiritual fruits from the world of immortality and the meat of some monster beasts. Mortal food seemed dirty to him. Well, my father is very good. Besides, helping my parents to love them, isn't that what I should do? Li Feng asked rhetorically. Okay, that's good, a kid can be taught. When Shi Ziyuan heard Li Feng's reply, he couldn't help but feel angry. Instead, he laughed and stroked his beard. The disciple is not a white-eyed wolf, which further proves that he has a good vision. You can teach Li Feng everything you know with greater confidence in the future. Presumably Li Feng will give him a hand as his master in the future when he grows up. The wedding banquet lasted about 2 hours and ended. Father, master and I will leave first. See you next time. Li Feng came to Li Tianyi and said hello. Okay, Fenger, you must practice hard in Fengyan sect and strive to enter the golden elixir realm as soon as possible. Li Tianyi encouraged. Son, if you break through the golden core realm as soon as possible, my old father can absorb the cultivation from the golden core realm. No problem, father, just wait for my good news. Within 3 years, no, 2 years, I will enter the golden elixir. Li Feng decided to go into seclusion like crazy after returning. I had been too neglectful in my practice before. Under Li Tianyi's watch, Li Feng flew away with his master Shi Ziyuan. Guests leave. A moment of spring night is worth 1,000 pieces of gold. Li Tianyi came to the wedding room. The pretty bride wears a red hijab. Putting his hands on those slender and fleshy thighs, his dexterous fingers kept crossing. It is enough to explain the uneasiness in this bride's heart. Shuangyao, I'm here. Li Tianyi gently opened Wang Shuangyao's red hijab. Wang Shuangyao's face was red, with streaks of crimson clouds clinging to her delicate face. Like a ripe red apple, people can't help but bite it. Shuangyao, let's start. Wang Shuangyao's voice was like a mosquito, and she answered extremely quietly. Don't look at her carefree look before she married Li Tianyi. In fact, she was extremely nervous. This is the first time for a little girl to get on a sedan chair. The time soon came to the middle of the night. Host, Li Tianyi. Age, 45. Cultivation, 8th level of Qi training. Qualification, 5 elements waste spirit root. Remaining life, 21,612. It is detected that the host is giving birth to an heir, and the partner's spiritual root is a medium-grade fire spiritual root. Start your choice. After 10 years of lifespan, the offspring's spiritual root becomes a middle-grade fire-type spiritual root. After spending 100 years of life, the spiritual root of the offspring is a good quality fire spiritual root. After spending 1,000 years of life, the spiritual root of the offspring will be a high-grade fire spiritual root. After spending 2,000 years of life, the spiritual root of the offspring is a high-grade spiritual root of water and fire. 2,000. Li Tianyi was stunned for a moment. This is the first time I have seen the high-grade spiritual roots of water and fire. Since it requires more lifespan, the spiritual roots must be more powerful, right? Li Tianyi directly chose the last one, consuming 2,000 years of life. Li Lang, Why did you stop? Wang Shuangyao said, a little dissatisfied. Obviously I am almost going to. It's nothing, don't worry Shuangyao, the night is still long. The second day, Li Tianyi gave the red linguo and Zuyan pill to his wife Li Qingqing. Li Qingqing was deeply moved when he learned about it. After swallowing this red spirit fruit, her face suddenly became much younger, returning to the fair and tender look she had when she was 18 years old, and her whole body looked fresh and fresh. Coupled with the beauty pill, she no longer has to worry about her appearance leaving traces due to the passage of time. 7 months later, Funan sect, Shen Wanbek welcomed her third child. This time it's not a boy, but a daughter. Shen Wanbai asked Li Tianyi before. If it was a daughter, the child would be called Li Ying. Bai Keliu stood outside the yard very early, waiting for the good news about Shen Wanbai. After seeing Shen Wanbai walking out holding the child, Bai Keliu walked up without stopping, took out the spiritual root testing stone and started testing. Ding! A dazzling golden light lit up. Another high-grade gold spiritual root. Bai Keliu said dumbfounded. Even though I had already had a suspicion in my mind, I was still shocked when I actually saw it. This is a top-grade spiritual root. It's not some useless spiritual root. Originally, there were only 3 high-grade spiritual root geniuses in the sect. Now, with Shen Wanbai's help, the number of high-grade spiritual root disciples has increased to 6. Great! Shen Wanbai gently stroked the child's tender face. She vaguely felt that Li Tianyi's physique was not simple. Otherwise, how could my children all have high-grade spiritual roots? Bai Keliu immediately told the sect leader Ji Yuqingxi the good news. Main hall. Everyone, you have all heard the news. Shen Wanbai's third child still has a high-grade spiritual root. Ji Yuqingxi had no interest in Li Tianyi at first. But with the birth of Shen Wanbai's third child, she once again put the name Li Tianyi on her lips. Sir, sect leader, I went to Li Tianyi's home with my disciples a few months ago for a wedding banquet. Shi Ziyuan stood up and said at this moment. I know about this. Could it be that, Elder Shi, you noticed something different about Li Tianyi? Ji Yuqingxi asked curiously. Mang Jingwei said before that Li Tianyi is not much different from ordinary people. He just looks more handsome. Li Tianyi is very ordinary. His spiritual root is indeed a waste spiritual root of the 5 elements. But I inquired about something later. What's up? All the children who are related to Li Tianyi have good spiritual talents. When Shi Ziyuan went to Hunyuan City, it was not that he did nothing. He also specifically inquired about some information about Li Tianyi in Hunyuan City. He was shocked when he learned that all of Li Tianyi's children had at least good spiritual roots. However, he did not tell Ji Yuqingxi this news. This is just my conjecture and there is no substantial evidence yet. Now that Shen Wanbai's child was born, another child with high-grade spiritual roots, Shi Ziyuan concluded his inner speculation. So, except for Li Tianyi and Shen Wanbai's 3 children, his other 2 children are all in Funan sect and both have middle-grade spiritual roots. Ji Yuqingxi's beautiful eyes flashed with brilliance. Could it be that Li Tianyi has some special physique? Sir, sect master, I think it is necessary to bring Li Tianyi to the sect. Shi Ziyuan said. Whether it is related to Li Tianyi or not, you will know after giving it a try. For example, find a girl from the sect to have a child with Li Tianyi. Jingwei, you better go and tell Li Tianyi everything about the situation. After all, he is the father of the children. Ji Yuqingxi thought about it and felt that Shi Ziyuan's suggestion was very good. Whether it has anything to do with Li Tianyi or not, you will find out once you try. If not, their Funan sect has nothing to lose. Yes. Mang Jingwei took the order and went to Hunyuan City again. Hunyuan City. Calculating the time, Shen Wanbai should be pregnant. According to my performance, Funan sect will definitely send people to look for me. A smile formed on the corner of Li Tianyi's mouth. If Funan sect sent people to find him, then all this was within his calculations. His strength is not strong yet, he just needs to use his brain. I saw a very fast purple light falling from the distant horizon towards Hunyuan City. The Lord of Hunyuan City originally wanted to show up to stop him, but when he felt the golden elixir spiritual pressure on the opponent's body, he decisively shrank his head. Just kidding, I am a monk practicing Chi Zochin. Who would be Senior Jin Dan's opponent? Even if the other party came to destroy Hunyuan City, he would be powerless. When they saw that the place where Senior Jin Dan went was the Li family's mansion, the city lord and other family heads heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that he was looking for Li Tianyi, so it was none of their business. Li's courtyard. Li Tianyi looked at Mang Jingwei in front of him very calmly and said, "We meet again, Senior Mang." "Huh, you don't look surprised that I came to you." Mang Jingwei raised her eyebrows. "This was beyond my expectation. I thought Li Tianyi would look overwhelmed and frightened. I seem to be looking down on him a bit. It was just expected. I wonder if Senior Mang can let me take my family to Fengyan sect." Li Tianyi smiled like a spring breeze. "No problem." Mang Jingwei did not summon the flying sword this time. With a gentle wave of his right hand, he lifted up his long purple sleeves, and a purple stream of light flashed past. Next moment, the huge magic weapon ferry boat appeared in the sky above the Li family's mansion. Immortal boat magic weapon. It is a magic weapon used by cultivators to transport many people. This magic weapon consumes a lot of spiritual power, so under normal circumstances, monks below nascent soul still prefer flying with a sword. Those with nascent soul power above the golden core level can use spiritual energy to fly in the air. The ferry boat looks like a huge ship, with golden lines attached to the hull. Mang Jingwei's ferry boat is about 20 meters long and 10 meters wide, which is enough to accommodate Li Tianyi's family. There is also a stone sculpture of Qingluan in front of the ferry boat. "Hurry up," Mang Jingwei said. "Please wait a moment." Li Tianyi quickly returned to the house and called his wife and children. When the wives and children saw the huge immortal boat and Mang Jingwei, the golden elixir monk, they were all shocked. Li Tianyi comforted his wife and children and let them walk onto the ferry boat. After finishing the affairs of the Wong family, he warned the remaining two families and the city lord, telling them that he would be back at any time. Upon hearing Li Tianyi's threat, the heads of the two families and the city lord immediately stated that they would never go against the Wong family. A foundation building monk is enough for them to drink a pot. What's more, Li Tianyi is a good friend of Jindan monk, how dare they do that? After completing all preparations, Li Tianyi said to Mang Jingwei, "Senior Mang, we can go to Fengyan sect." "Well, let's go." Mang Jingwei put two fingers in front of her mouth, silently reciting her own formula for restraining the ferry boat. Rumble. Under the influx of spiritual power, the ferry boat lit up for a moment, and at the same time broke away from the shackles of gravity and flew towards the high blue sky and white clouds. "Father, we are flying." Li Yan ran to the fence of Shenzhou and looked around excitedly. This was her first time experiencing the feeling of flying. Li Tianyi wanted to fly around with her daughter Li Yan before. "It's a pity that I don't have a sword. Weapons used by ordinary mortals cannot withstand spiritual energy. You must use the weapons of immortal cultivators." The weapon levels of cultivators are divided into magic weapon, spiritual weapon, magic weapon, spiritual treasure, yellow treasure, mysterious treasure, earth treasure, and heaven treasure. At the same time, each level is also divided into low grade, medium grade, top grade, and top grade. The other wives and children also stood on the ferry boat curiously, looking at the blue sky and white clouds. This is also their first time boarding the ferry boat. Mang Jingwei stood at the front of the ferry boat and ignored the voices of Li Tianyi's family. She was used to it. Some people who have just boarded the ferry boat will do this. Used to it. Not to mention an ordinary person, she was once a chi practicing monk. When the master took him to the ferry boat, he was also very excited. After boarding the ferry boat dozens of times in a row, the freshness of the first time was no longer there. However, Li Tianyi's performance surprised Mang Jingwei. Li Tianyi acted very calmly and calmly. If she hadn't sensed that his aura was at the 8th level of Qi training, Mang Jingwei would have thought that Li Tianyi was a powerful nascent soul. Along the way, Mang Jingwei didn't say much to Li Tianyi, and Li Tianyi also enjoyed it. Relying on the flying speed of the ferry boat, it took less than half an hour in total to get from Hunyuan City to Fengyan sect. The speed is faster than Mang Jingwei, a golden elixir stage monk, who can use flying swords. If it doesn't require too much spiritual energy or spiritual stones to be consumed, the ferry boat is a tool that most monks like to use. Fengyan sect. The ferry spirit is misty and surrounded by clouds and mist. 6 mountaintops stand on the mountain range, reaching into the sky. There is a quaint main hall suspended in the middle. Linked by the transparent shackles released from each mountaintop formation, a palace can be suspended among the 6 peaks. The entire Funan sect was surrounded by a huge formation. This is a gate-protecting formation that almost every sect has. Let the formation wrap up the sect to guard against enemy attacks. Mang Jingwei's ferry boat slowly stopped when it arrived in front of the formation. We sincerely welcome Elder Mang back to the mountain gate. The 6th elder Bai Keliu, who was standing in front of the formation, had been waiting for a long time. Well, Leeni, your family will be taken to a spare room to rest by 6th elder Bai Keliu. You and I will go to meet the sect leader first. Mang Jingwei nodded, turned around and said, no problem. Leeni knew Bai Keliu. This elder is the master of his eldest son Li Xing. Zongmin Main Hall. Under the leadership of Mang Jingwei, Leeni quickly arrived at this hall. Directly in front of him, Ji Yuqingxi, the head of the Funan sect, was sitting on the seat of the head. 3,000 black hairs were casually draped behind his head and drifting in the wind. He opened his beautiful eyes and looked at Leeni curiously. Not only that, there were 5 people standing on both sides of the hall. They should be the other elders of Funan sect. Mang Jingwei left Leeni and returned to her seat. Your name is Leeni, right? Ji Yuqingxi's red lips moved slightly and she spoke. This was the first time Ji Yuqingxi met Leeni. Judging from Leeni's aura, there is no doubt that he is at the 8th level of qi training. I just don't know if the root bone is a useless spiritual root of the 5 elements, as others have said. Are you the leader of Funan sect? Leeni asked rhetorically. Yes, I am the leader of Funan sect, Ji Yuqingxi. Ji Yuqingxi said softly. Regardless of Leeni's talent, just saying that Leeni is neither humble nor arrogant shows that he is a great guy. If coupled with a heaven-defying spiritual root, he will definitely become a famous figure in the future. Hello, sect leader Ji Yu, thank you and the sect for nurturing my child. Leeni cupped his hands and thanked him. No need to thank you. Your children are very talented. Funan sect should train them. It is mutually beneficial for everyone. Ji Yuqingxi told the truth. Geniuses need the protection of a strong sect to grow. The strong sect needs geniuses to grow up and then use their power to help themselves. Leeni, do you mind if we use the spiritual root detection stone to check your spiritual roots? Mang Jingwei came forward with the spiritual root detection stone. He said he was asking Leeni if he minded, but in fact, he didn't give Leeni any choice to refuse. No problem at all. Leeni raised the corners of his mouth slightly and put his hand on the stone. Ding! In an instant, a faint multicolored light appeared on the stone. Seeing this gleam of light, Ji Yuqingxi and the other elders all had expressions of disappointment. It turned out to be really a waste spiritual root of the 5 elements. How could such a man continue to have children with high-grade spiritual roots with Shen Wanbai? Could it be that they made a mistake and that Shen Wanbai actually had a special physique? Just when everyone was thinking wildly, 6th elder Bai Keliu walked in. First, he explained to Leeni that his wife and children had been settled, and then he stepped forward and said, reporting to the sect master, Leeni's children's qualifications are all middle-grade spiritual roots. What? As soon as these words came out, everyone present was extremely shocked. The thought that it was due to Shen Wanbai's physique was instantly dismissed from their minds. This is definitely related to the man in front of me. Leeni, you heard me. Your children's spiritual root talents are very good. Is it possible that you have a treasure that can improve your spiritual roots? Ji Yuqingxi was wondering if Leeni had any treasure that could enhance his spiritual roots. Otherwise, why would Leeni's children have such good qualifications? Ji Yu Zongju, you are joking. Think about it, if I really have this treasure, why should I still be a useless 5-element spiritual root? Leeni pretended to smile bitterly. My spiritual roots are right here, you all just saw them. If you really have it, you must use it on yourself first. This, Ji Yuqingxi paused for a moment. What Leeni said makes sense. If you can improve your spiritual roots, the most important thing is to improve yourself first. If the heir wants to be promoted, he should put it at the back. So how do we explain that the children born to Leeni have such good qualifications? The other elders looked at each other, unable to understand this. Looking at the expressions on everyone's faces with his peripheral vision, Li Tianyi's lips curved into a slight smile. At this point in the plan, it's time to start closing the net. Sect Master Gu, I have something I don't know whether to say or not. What words? Gu Qingxi responded hurriedly. This may be the key to breaking the situation. It's just that I actually have a special physique, which is that I can quickly absorb the power in the spirit stone. But after the spiritual energy entered my body, it disappeared for some reason. I'm wondering, is this related to my talent for giving birth to children? Li Tianyi said, pretending to be confused. Spiritual stone. This is a high-grade spiritual stone. Can you absorb it for me? Upon hearing Li Tianyi's words, Gu Qingxi immediately took out a high-grade spiritual stone from her storage ring. Isn't it just a top-grade spiritual stone? As the head of a sect, she has a lot of storage rings. Under the control of spiritual power, this high-grade spiritual stone slowly floated in front of Li Tianyi. Li Tianyi caught it with both hands and silently said in his mind, absorb. Next moment, the azure spirit stone instantly lost its aura and turned into grains of dust and disappeared. As soon as his lifespan was replenished, the great elder Shi Ziyuan stepped forward and grabbed Li Tianyi's wrist and felt it carefully. The spiritual energy in Li Tianyi's body did not change at all. All the spirit stones that had just been absorbed were gone. Sir, Master, it is indeed as Li Tianyi said. After the spiritual energy of the spirit stone entered his body, it miraculously disappeared. Reported by Shi Ziyuanwei. Oh, there were ripples in Gu Qingxi's beautiful eyes. This is an incredible discovery. Could it be related to this? The spiritual energy contained in the spiritual stone cannot be absorbed entirely by the monks, and it takes a certain amount of time to absorb it. If there were no such restrictions, what kind of spiritual energy would the monks still need to absorb? I have already gone to take spiritual stones to advance. The other elders whispered to each other in low voices. This was the first time for them to see Li Tianyi in this situation. Such a strange physique has never been recorded in ancient books. It can absorb the spiritual energy in the spirit stone in an instant, but it cannot enter the body and store it. No, Lord Sect Master, I seem to have discovered where that group of spiritual energy has gone. Shi Ziyuan's eyes showed surprise. Gu Qingxi quickly asked, where are you going? The spiritual energy is stored in Li Tianyi's kidneys. Shi Ziyuan let go of Li Tianyi's wrist and replied. There are actually people who can absorb the spiritual energy in the spiritual stone into the kidneys. This is really unheard of. But what Shi Ziyuan didn't know was that the aura of the spirit stone was actually absorbed by the system and transformed into a lifespan. The aura found in his kidneys. It was Li Tianyi who deliberately controlled the spiritual energy and gathered a small part of the spiritual energy in the kidney area. Misled this great elder. Kidney. After hearing the news, the other elders looked at Li Tianyi with something wrong. Is this the reason why we can give birth to highly gifted children? But this doesn't make sense. They and their wives, when they gave birth to children, they used spiritual energy to wrap their kidneys to make themselves stronger. Why don't the children I give birth to have good spiritual roots? Some even have no spiritual roots. Li Tianyi, I'm here, sect leader Gu. How about I arrange a wedding for you myself? True or false? Just try it and you will know. Gu Qingxi planned to be a matchmaker herself and arrange a marriage for Li Tianyi. Practice is the only criterion for testing truth. Marriage. Master Gu is willing to tell me about it in person. Of course I am very grateful. Li Tianyi did not refuse. This is what I'm waiting for. Bai Keliu, take Li Tianyi down first and wait for the news. Yes, Lord Sect Master. Bai Keliu left with Li Tianyi. Seeing Li Tianyi leaving, Shi Ziyuan asked, I wonder who the sect master wants to find as his wife. It is impossible to find an ordinary person for Li Tianyi. After all, Li Tianyi is a monk at the 8th level of Qi training. Despite extremely poor talent, Jingwei, I remember you have a niece, right? Gu Qingxi looked at Mang Jingwei. Mang Jingwei raised her eyebrows, and she understood what Gu Qingxi meant. Sir, sect master, I think it's better for both parties to be happy about this kind of thing. After all, my niece has a middle-grade spiritual root talent. In the future, he will at least be a strong man in the golden core stage. Marrying Li Tianyi is really a bit unfair. If she is willing to marry Li Tianyi, Funan sect can provide her with the resources that a core disciple should have. You only need to say this. Whether it is yes or no is up to her own choice. Ji Qingxi's red lips moved slightly. She is not the kind of leader who would force others. But she believed that as long as the conditions she proposed were good enough, Mang Jingwei's niece would definitely agree. I understand, Lord Sect Master, I will bring this sentence to Yorin. The other side. Bai Kelliu brought Li Tianyi to his mountain. All Li Tianyi's wives and children are here, including the children of Li Tianyi and Shen Wanbai. After learning that their father had come to Funan sect, they immediately came to the mountain to wait for Li Tianyi. Father, you are here. Father, Sect Master, they didn't make it difficult for you, did they? Long time no see, Father. The children gathered around and asked Li Tianyi with concern. Li Tianyi responded one by one with a smile. In the blink of an eye, I now have 11 children. If it were someone else, he would definitely be extremely satisfied. But it was not enough for him. There are only 3 children with high-grade spiritual roots, and they are all born to Shen Wanbai. He must find a wife with better talents. I don't know what kind of wife Sect Master Jiyu will choose for him. I hope she's not an ordinary woman. I should have added something else earlier. The plan went smoothly. After Ji Qingxi and the others completely believed that the child he created could be very talented, he would implement his next plan. This group of powerful monks didn't take themselves seriously at all. He thinks that his strength is very weak and easy to control. Little did they know that each of them fell into Li Tianyi's trap. Left the sect hall, Mang Jingwei returned to the top of her mountain and called her niece Mang Yorin. As her own niece, Mang Jingwei gave Mang Yorin many privileges. Otherwise, the middle-grade spiritual roots would not be able to become the disciples of the second elder, and they could still live on this spiritually rich mountaintop and absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. "Aunt, what do you want from me?" Mang Yorin walked in from outside. She is dressed in white, has a good appearance and an approachable temperament. A pair of smart pupils seemed to be able to speak, always exuding splendor. Yorin, Mang Jingwei didn't know how to tell Mang Yorin about this matter. This was her first time to kiss someone. Auntie, could it be that something big happened to the sect? Seeing the troubled Mang Jingwei, Mang Yorin asked anxiously. If nothing happened to the sect, why would my aunt be so hesitant in speaking? No, the sect is very good, but, just listen to me. Mang Jingwei clenched her white teeth and slowly explained the reason to Mang Yorin. After learning that the sect leader had arranged a marriage for him, Mang Yorin's little face suddenly froze. Seeing this, Mang Jingwei added, "Don't worry Yorin, if you don't agree, the sect leader will not force you or anything." No, aunt, I don't agree or disagree, I just think it's too sudden. After hearing her aunt's words, Mang Yorin couldn't come back to her senses for a long time. This is too sudden. When her aunt went to the main hall earlier, she asked her to concentrate on her practice and not think about other things. As a result, now in the blink of an eye, she told herself that the master of the sect would arrange a marriage for her. Aunt, could it be that this Li Tianyi is special? Otherwise, why would the sect leader propose marriage to me? Mang Yorin guessed after coming back to her senses. It's not like this has never happened before. For example, if a sect encounters a genius with good qualifications, it will provide various conditions to keep him in the sect. Either women or men may be one of the conditions. It is quite special, but it has not been completely confirmed yet. Anyway, I will give you 3 days. You can give me a reply after 3 days, so that I can respond to the sect leader. Mang Jingwei also felt that this was too sudden. It was decided to give the niece 3 days to think about it. Whether to marry or not to marry depends on Mang Yorin's own thoughts. Watching her aunt walk away, Mang Yorin stood there. The resources of the core disciples were really tempting. She has been coveting the core skills of Funan sect for a long time. It's a pity that only direct disciples and elders can learn. Even if the second elder is her aunt, she cannot make an exception and pass it on to her. No matter what, I have to go and see what Li Tianyi looks like and what kind of person he is. Mang Yorin planned to meet Li Tianyi first. If you still like her, there is nothing wrong with marrying Li Tianyi for the sake of resources. According to what my aunt said, Li Tianyi's qualifications are not very good, the 5 elements spiritual roots are useless, and there is no hope of building a foundation. Then I will definitely not live as long as myself. When the time comes, just find another Taoist companion. Hilltop. I thought we could only meet secretly. Shen Wanbai hugged Li Tianyi's waist and gently leaned her head on Li Tianyi's strong chest. She was very happy to see Li Tianyi come to Funan sect. Finally, I no longer have to endure the pain of missing you. Wanbai. Li Tianyi could tell that Shen Wanbai really fell in love with her. No matter which aspect she fell in love with, at least Shen Wanbai's feelings for him were not false at all. As the first woman to give birth to a child with high-quality spiritual roots, Li Tianyi's feelings for Shen Wanbai also changed slightly. After being bored with Shen Wanbai for a while, Li Tianyi turned back to play with her children. I haven't been close to the children for a long time. Especially Li Shuier. Since Li Shuier came to Funan sect to practice, she has never come back to see Li Tianyi. It's not that she has no filial piety or has no feelings for Li Tianyi. He has the aura of fatherly love. Even if a child has never seen Li Tianyi when he was born, when he meets Li Tianyi for the first time when he is an adult at the age of 18, he will still respect and love him. It was her master who prevented her from going down the mountain to meet Li Tianyi. Li Shuier's master is the 4th elder, who practices an immortal way similar to Wuqing Dao. Long time no see, Shuie, you've grown into a big girl all of a sudden. Li Tianyi looked at her daughter with a chuckle. It's been so long since we last met. The most familiar thing is just the accompanying letter from Li Shuier. Father, I'm sorry, I didn't come to see you. Li Shuier said with a depressed expression. My father must be very sad to see that he has never come back. It's all your own fault. If I had known earlier, I would have rejected the 4th elder's request to become a disciple. This way she could do whatever she wanted and look at her father whenever she wanted. Fool, Li Tianyi combed her daughter's hair and said, how can I blame you? If you want to blame, blame me. It's my father and I'm too weak. Indeed, the strength is too weak. You can only follow other people's rules for now. Only when you are strong enough can you break the rules and create your own rules. Father and sister, you don't have to feel sad about this. My qualifications are very good. It won't be long before I can have my own voice in the sect. I saw my father and sister Li Shuier saying that. Li Feng strengthened his inner thoughts. Accelerate the pace of cultivation and become the first sharp sword of the family. Although Li Tianyi has other children with high-grade spiritual roots, Li Feng is the oldest, and he is indeed the one who can become this sharp blade the fastest. The younger child, Li Shu, is only 5 years old. There is a 5-year age difference between him and his brother. Brother, don't say that. As my father's child, this responsibility also falls on me. 5-year-old Li Shu added. How could I let my brother steal all the limelight in front of his father? He also has a high-grade gold spiritual root, and he is definitely not inferior to his elder brother. My brother is better than me just because he was born 5 years earlier than me. Okay, with your words, I can rest assured. Remember, while you are concentrating on practicing, don't forget to walk outside the sect more often. With Li Feng's lesson learned from the past, Li Tianyi knew that his children had some kind of invisible and intangible luck. Although he can't see it, he believes that he is both a time traveler and a person who has obtained the system. How could one's own child's luck be bad? Go out to the sect more. I understand. My father's intention must be for us to go out more and practice more, otherwise no matter how high our cultivation level is. When we meet people who are of the same level as us, without actual combat experience, we will definitely fail. Is this what father means? Li Feng thought for a while and said. Is that so? As expected of my brother. Li Shu looked at Li Feng with admiration. It seems that my brother is much better at understanding his father's meaning than I am. I had never thought of the meaning of this just now. Anyway, just remember it, but remember not to go to dangerous places. If a genius doesn't grow up, he will also fall. Li Tianyi doesn't want the children to be in danger. Don't worry about this, father. My strength is already at the 2nd level of foundation establishment. Coupled with the high-grade spiritual weapon given to me by master, I am generally not my opponent at the third level of foundation establishment. Li Feng said very confidently. Just when they were communicating and bonding as a family. The third daughter, Li Yan, ran over and said, "Father, a monk sister named Mang Yorin came outside and said she wanted to see you." Mang Yorin, Mang Jingwei, what's the relationship between these two people? Let her in. Hearing the name Mang Yorin, Li Tianyi subconsciously thought of the second elder Mang Jingwei. They are all named Mang, could they be from my family? After a while, Mang Yorin walked in, looked around and said, "Are you Li Tianyi?" She immediately focused on Li Tianyi. There is no way, Li Tianyi's temperament is too special. In addition to the adult men here, he is the only one. I am Li Tianyi. I wonder what Fairy Mang wants from me. Li Tianyi could tell Mang Yorin's state of mind at a glance. The fourth floor of the foundation is exactly the same as Shen Wanbai. He must be about the same age as Shen Wanbai. My lord asked me to come. I saw Li Tianyi's children present. Mang Yorin, who was originally going to say what she meant, changed her words temporarily. It's so embarrassing to say in front of other people's children that I'm here to have a blind date with your father. Fenger, take your brothers and sisters and leave first. Wanbai, you can follow. I'm afraid Yang Yan and the others don't understand Fengyan sect's rules. Li Tianyi knew Mang Yorin's intention. Then if we let other people stay here, it will not be easy to communicate. Okay. Shen Wanbai and Li Feng left here with the others. Seeing that everyone had left the courtyard, Li Tianyi invited Mang Yorin to sit down around the stone table. Since you said so, Fairy Mang, let's get straight to the point. What do you think? Li Tianyi gets straight to the point. They have already made their intentions clear, so why are they doing so many things? Get straight to the point. To be honest, your talent is very low. Your ability to reach the 8th level of Qi training is entirely due to chance, right? Mang Yorin said. Li Tianyi chuckled and nodded. Everyone thinks this is their opportunity. I never would have guessed that my level of improvement was entirely thanks to my children. The level you have risen to by relying on opportunities means that you basically have no chance to enter the foundation building stage in the future, and I have a middle grade spiritual route and have already established a foundation. Making you my husband means that I will be a widow in the future. Before Mang Yorin finished speaking, Li Tianyi interrupted. If Fairy Mang has anything to say, just say it directly. There is no one else here. Okay, from all aspects, except for your appearance, I don't like you, but the resources of your direct disciple are very attractive to me, so I am willing to get married to you. Thank you Fairy Mang for your love. You don't have to thank me. If you want to thank me, just thank the sect leader. That's all I have to say. I'll leave now. Mang Yorin stood up and left the yard. He said nothing more to Li Tianyi. This is a deal. Until now, Mang Yorin didn't know why the sect leader wanted to be this matchmaker. What shining ideas does Li Tianyi have? Or is it that he has an extraordinary relationship with the sect leader? Mang Yorin didn't know all this. Mang Jingwei did not tell Mang Yorin the truth. Because the truth has yet to be tested, it is not the time to tell Mang Yorin for the time being. The other side, Mang Yorin quickly told Mang Jingwei her thoughts. You have worked hard, Yao Ran, but don't worry, you won't be disappointed with this choice. Disappointed? And why do you say this? Well, it's okay. Anyway, just stay here for now. I'll report it to the sect leader right away. According to the performance of Li Tianyi's previous children, Mang Yorin and Li Tianyi's children are definitely not bad in qualifications. Zongmin Main Hall. Quickly arriving at the main hall, Mang Jingwei told Ji Yu Qingxi the good news. In that case, let's get married tomorrow. Ji Yu Qingxi nodded with satisfaction. She knew that Mang Yorin would not give up the condition of direct disciple resources. With this resource, Mang Yorin can become a golden elixir monk faster and more likely. Although the second elder Mang Jingwei is her aunt. But the resources at hand of the elders cannot be compared with those of the sect. Getting married tomorrow. Mang Jingwei was stunned. This is a bit too anxious. Regardless of choosing an auspicious day, at least give the person involved a period of time to buffer. Otherwise, we don't have that much time, Jingwei. Ji Yu Qingxi said disapprovingly. She has no control over what Mang Yorin and Li Tianyi think. She only knew that her time with her sect was precious. If Leeni does not have the ability to ensure that his children have good spiritual roots, then let his family go back to Hunyuan City. On the contrary, if there is any, all the consumption of their family will be paid by Funan sect. At the same time, Funan sect can also get a father who is a creative genius. Go tell Yorin. Mang Jingwei acted as the microphone for Meng Yorin and Ji Yu Qingxi. Meng Yorin was shocked again when she learned that she would marry Leeni tomorrow. The sect leader really wishes he could marry Leeni. Is it necessary to be in such a hurry? Meng Yorin wanted to cry but had no tears. But when I think of marrying Leeni, I can immediately obtain the resources of a direct disciple. She agreed. Tomorrow, the hilltop of Elder Bai K Liu Liu is covered with red lanterns and lanterns. Those who didn't know thought the sixth elder was getting married. In order to take care of Leeni, Ji Yu Qingxi made a decision and temporarily gave the top of Baikaliu Hill to Leeni. Baikaliu moved to live with the fifth elder. If Leeni is incapable, Baikaliu can live back on his hilltop. Meng Yorin marries Leeni. Who is this Leeni? I've never heard of it, but I do know about Meng Yorin. She seems to be the niece of our second elder. No way, I heard that the sect leader personally granted the marriage. Tisk, 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 no matter what, this Leeni must be some great person, don't offend him. Just drink our wine. This is delicious food that you don't see in ordinary times. Some of the more talented disciples on the mountain were invited to attend the wedding on the mountain to add a bit of popularity to the wedding. As a wedding held within Funan sect, weddings here are not as simple as in the ordinary world. The wine provided to the monks was made from spiritual fruits. The meat is the meat of various monsters. Vegetables are grown in various varieties from the elixir garden. For the disciples of Funan sect, it is a rare food. Eating it is good for your own practice. All the elders were present, and even the sect leader Ji Yu Qingxi came in person. After all, this wedding was given by Ji Yu Qingxi herself. If she, the matchmaker, doesn't come, wouldn't it be a violation of the rules? Is the wedding so troublesome? Ji Yu Qingxi slightly frowned her beautiful eyebrows. She grew up in the sect since she was a child. She followed the previous sect leader, her master, to practice. Basically, they have never asked about mortal matters. She originally thought the wedding was just a formality, but she didn't expect it to be so troublesome. Sir, you don't understand that this is normal. In fact, ordinary people's weddings are more troublesome. We try to keep everything as simple as possible. Shi Ziyuan said. Having attended Li Tianyi's wedding before, he has a deep understanding of it. The woman standing next to the third elder Zhang Hai whispered softly, "Why did Sister Mang get married suddenly?" After 3 rounds of drinking, Ji Yu Qingxi left first, followed by the other elders. As soon as the elders and the sect master left, the other disciples packed up some food and said goodbye to the mountain. After eating for so long, it's time to go back and rest. They left one after another, and soon the newlyweds in the room were left on the hilltop. Li Tianyi's wives very wisely took the children to a house halfway up the mountain to rest, so as not to disturb Li Tianyi and Meng Yorin's wedding night. Nervous and shy Meng Yorin sat on the bedside, interlacing the fingers of her hands. "Are you nervous?" Li Tianyi asked patiently, sitting next to him. "You are not talking nonsense, I am doing it again." Speaking of the latter part, Meng Yorin's voice was obviously much softer. "Does she look like the kind of woman who has been through this?" "It doesn't matter, Yorin, I will teach you slowly." "What did you call me?" "Yorin, don't you like me calling you this name?" "You, just scream if you like." Host, Li Tianyi. Age, 45. Cultivation, 8th level of Qi training. Qualification, 5 elements waste spirit root. Remaining life, 19,712. It is detected that the host is giving birth to an heir, and the partner's spiritual root is a middle grade wood spiritual root. Start your choice. After 10 years of lifespan, the offspring's spiritual root becomes a middle grade wood type spiritual root. After spending 100 years of life, the spiritual root of the offspring is a good quality wood spiritual root. After spending 1,000 years of life, the spiritual roots of the descendants will be high grade wood spiritual roots. What makes Li Tianyi a bit regretful is that there seems to be no conditions for triggering the twin spiritual roots. This in the end is why Could it be related to my wife's spiritual roots? Li Tianyi can't think of that much at the moment, so he should continue to do his own business. Successfully consume 1,000 years of life. Li Tianyi has now expended a total of 6,440 years of life. There are still 3,560 lifespans left before the cumulative consumption of 10,000 years of life in the next step. Something that can be done by just making a few more babies. It's a pity that his first wife, Li Qingqing, was not qualified enough, otherwise she would have given birth to an heir that would take hundreds or even thousands of years to live. The second day, Mang Yorin took the initiative to cut off the red flowers on the sheets and put them into her space ring. Then he picked a room by himself and started practicing, deliberately avoiding communication with Li Tianyi. Only at night would he sneak into Li Tianyi's room and start a relationship with Li Tianyi. Mang Yorin, who didn't know the truth, didn't know that Li Tianyi could enter the soul with one shot. She also thought that as a monk, it would be difficult for her to get pregnant. I just wanted to come with Li Tianyi a few more times so that I could get pregnant as soon as possible and complete my mission. Of course, there is also a part of selfishness. After Li Tianyi learned about Mang Yorin's concerns, she did not tell her the truth. Why do you say it? Obviously this is all quite interesting. Let this misunderstanding continue. A month later, Mang Yorin received good news, she is pregnant. At the same time, there is good news. Wong Shuangyao's delivery date has arrived and she gave birth to a daughter for Li Tianyi. Li Tianyi named her daughter Li Yanmiao, which represents her spiritual roots of water and fire. It was learned that Wong Shuangyao, one of Li Tianyi's wives, had given birth to a child. Ji Yuqingxi immediately sent someone to test the born child's spiritual roots. Still the sixth elder, put your child's hand on the test stone. Bai Keliu said. Wong Shuangyao glanced at Li Tianyi while holding her child, with Li Tianyi's tacit approval. He grabbed his daughter's little hand and placed it on the testing stone. In an instant, a blue glow lights up. It's a high-grade spiritual root of the water element. It's too good. No. Wrong. It's a high-grade spiritual root of the water and fire elements. Bai Lu originally thought it was just a high-grade water spiritual root. But he hasn't finished speaking yet. Another dazzling red light suddenly appeared, dividing the territory in half with the blue light representing the high-grade spiritual roots of the water system. This means that this is a genius with high-grade spiritual roots of water and fire. Ha ha ha, this is great news. Bai Keliu ran away again to tell Ji Yuqingxi the good news. Tianyi, did you hear that? Our child has a high-grade spiritual root of water and fire. Wong Shuangyao held her daughter Li Yanmiao and looked back at Li Tianyi happily. Li Tianyi responded to Wong Shuangyao with a smile. He was not surprised at all. This child cost me 2,000 years of life. If he didn't have this talent, he would be so angry that he would vomit blood. But consuming lifespan is not the answer. It must be supplemented by spiritual stones. The spirit stones given to him by the children were still too few, so the source of the spirit stones must be placed on Funan sect. So what plan is there to do it? Li Tianyi once again hatched a new plan in his mind. Zongmin Main Hall. The elders gathered here again. After learning that Li Tianyi and Wong Shuangyao gave birth to an heir with high-grade spiritual roots of water and fire, everyone was stunned. Although it has been expected, this child's talent is definitely not too bad. But when the facts are before everyone's eyes, they will still be more or less surprised. Lord Sect Leader, it seems that Yaoran doesn't need to verify this. Meng Jingwei said quietly. I had forgotten a month ago that Li Tianyi also had a wife, Wong Shuangyao, who was pregnant. Who said that? Isn't it a good thing that Mang Yorin can add another genius with high-grade spiritual roots to the sect? Ji Yuqingxi said happily. The future of Funan sect is here. There is a genius like Li Tianyi. Funan sect only needs a few decades to surpass all other sects in Yang sect. In one fell swoop, he became the overlord of the Yangzong kingdom. What can other sects do to fight with them? Lord Sect Master, I discovered something. Zhong Hai took the front road. Oh, what did you find? Ji Yuqingxi came back from her joy. Now she was in an extremely happy mood. I haven't been so happy for a long time. It seems that the realm stuck on the third level of nascent soul has been loosened. I have inquired about the talents of all Li Tianyi's wives and found that the higher the talent of his wife, the higher the talent of the heir. Lord Sect Master, can you tell me if there is any connection between this? Zhang Hai expressed his guess. If this is the case, then wouldn't it be possible to give Li Tianyi a wife with a high-grade spiritual root, and he could give birth to a genius with a super-grade spiritual root or even a top-grade spiritual root for the sect? What you said makes sense, Zhang Hai. I remember that your disciple seems to have a high-grade spiritual root, right? Ji Yu Qingxi's eyes lit up and she said. This. Zhang Hai's mouth twitched. Why does this involve me? That female disciple of mine is indeed a high-grade spiritual root. The question is, will people be willing to do it? A genius with high-grade spiritual roots and a golden elixir cultivator, and an ordinary monk with the 8th level of Qi training with useless 5-element spiritual roots. Zhang Hai felt that his disciple must look down on Li Tianyi. You try to ask, maybe you agree. Chapter 31. Ji Yu Qingxi has never considered or studied emotions. Mang Yorin was able to marry Li Tianyi so quickly because the conditions provided were rich enough. At worst, it would be better to give Zhang Hai disciples some conditions that they can't refuse. Sir, Sect Master, have you ever considered that my disciple has a high-grade spiritual root, and if you forcefully arrange a marriage for her? What if she doesn't like it and leaves Funan sect? We won't lose more than we gain. Zhang Hai knew his disciple's character best. She has a high-grade spiritual root. She was born with a golden key in her mouth since she was a child, and her family's strength is not bad. Mention this matter to her. If she is unhappy and chooses to leave the sect directly, then for Funan sect, it will be an indirect loss of a genius. It's just a high-grade spiritual root. Funan sect would definitely not be able to lose it before, but it doesn't matter now. Ji Yu Qingxi said calmly. Li Tianyi's children alone have added 4 geniuses with high-grade spiritual roots to Funan sect. One less person is nothing to Funan sect. This. Zhang Hai thought about it carefully, and it seemed that what the sect leader said made sense. Funan sect now has no shortage of disciples with high-grade spiritual roots. Hiss, Lord Sect Master, I dare to mention it to you. I hope you won't be angry. Great Elder Shi Ziyuan suddenly thought of something. He stepped forward with a troubled expression and said. Ji Yu Qingxi glanced at the Great Elder and said, but it doesn't matter. She is in a good mood now. Definitely not angry. Well, Sect leader, your spiritual root seems to be a high-quality lightning spiritual root, right? Shi Ziyuan rubbed his fingers hidden under his sleeves. Thunder spiritual roots. Different from the ordinary 5-element spiritual roots, it is one of the mutated spiritual roots. He is a person who has both water and earth spiritual roots. By chance, the 2 spiritual roots merged and mutated, becoming the thunder spiritual root. Thunder spiritual roots are more powerful than ordinary 5-element spiritual roots. At the same time, the grade of Ji Yu Qingxi's spiritual root is not low, and it is a good quality spiritual root. The high-grade spiritual roots of the thunder system are, to a certain extent, not inferior to the high-grade spiritual roots of other single systems. It is even more powerful when fighting. I do have thunder spiritual roots. Are you not planning to let me marry Li Tianyi? Ji Yu Qingxi suddenly realized what Shi Ziyuan meant by these words. Why did this happen to me as I was talking? Shi Ziyuan breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that the sect leader was not angry, but had a little shock on his face. It's okay, as long as the Lord doesn't get angry. That's not what I meant, Lord Sect Master, think about it, you don't have to marry Li Tianyi to have a child with him. Wouldn't it be great if you could borrow Li Tianyi? Shi Ziyuan himself felt that this was for the good of the sect. Sect Master, such a good spiritual root must not be wasted in vain. If the thunder spiritual root is combined with Li Tianyi, will a more powerful thunder spiritual root be born? Besides, having children doesn't necessarily mean getting married. There are so many real and nameless couples. Just think of it as borrowing seeds. Presumptuous. Boom. The powerful spiritual pressure belonging to the nascent soul spread instantly from Ji Yu Qingxi's body. The pressure was so great that all the elders present bent over and couldn't breathe. Sir, please calm down. The elders shouted tremblingly. The power of nascent soul is so terrifying. This spiritual pressure alone is enough for them to drink a pot. Not to mention a fight. Snort. Ji Yu Qingxi's beautiful face showed a cold look. Although she didn't know much about this aspect, Shi Ziyuan's words made her feel a little ashamed and angry. What does it mean to borrow Li Tianyi? Are you the kind of loose woman? There is no reason for this. If she hadn't been in a really good mood today, Shi Ziyuan would have suffered a lot. Get out of the hall. Yes, this group of golden elixir stage elders, except for the elders from Bai Keliu, quickly turned into a golden stream of light and disappeared in front of Ji Yu Qingxi. Bai Keliu was not as fast as these golden elixir stage elders, so he could only turn his head and smile awkwardly and apologetically at Ji Yu Qingxi. Then he ran away quickly. Ji Yu Qingxi was the only one left in the entire empty hall. Ji Yu Qingxi smoothed her ups and downs chest, turned around, swung her long sleeves, and walked towards the depths of the hall. Everything is probably settled. It's time to report this matter to the Supreme Elder. Ji Yu Qingxi's realm is at the 3rd level of nascent soul, while the realm of this Supreme Elder is at the 5th level of nascent soul. He is the well-deserved strongest person of Funan sect. Outside the main hall, I said, Shi Ziyuan, what are you telling the sect leader about? You will make the sect leader angry. That's right, the sect master is obviously in a pretty good mood up front. Let's say a few words less next time. The other elders complained to Shi Ziyuan. Everyone is a golden elixir stage monk, and they are also great elders. Except for Bai Keliu, the other elders will not be afraid of Shi Ziyuan. What's more, after being together for so long, everyone has already become friends. A little bit of complaining is nothing. How did I know that I saw the sect leader with a normal expression earlier, but who would have thought that he would get furious the next moment? Shi Ziyuan blew his beard and stared. Women, indeed, are uncertain. He was laughing 1 second, and furious the next. You all think too simplistically of the sect leader. It is true that the sect master does not understand the affairs between men and women, but she is a woman after all. Shi Ziyuan, if you say that, can the sect leader not be angry? Mang Jingwei stood up and spoke for Ji Yu Qingxi. She is also a woman, and she knows very well why Shi Ziyuan's words just made the sect leader angry. If it were her, she would be equally angry. Okay, I won't mention it next time. Hey Zonghai, remember to tell your disciples about this. Shi Ziyuan shouted. I'll try my best, but you all know that girl's character, and it's almost impossible to agree. You should be mentally prepared. Zonghai waved his hand and flew away with his sword. Seeing Zonghai leaving, the elders said goodbye one after another and returned to their mountains. Go and see if you can find a woman with better talent, and then arrange it for Li Tianyi. If the woman from the top of her mountain could give birth to a well-qualified offspring with Li Tianyi, wouldn't she be able to become a genius master? What, master, did I hear correctly? You want me to get married? No, that's not the case, Xiu, you heard wrong. I'm not asking you to get married, I'm asking you to listen to your thoughts. Doesn't this still require me to get married? It's different, I don't give you the right to choose when you get married. I'm asking you. You have the right to choose. Zonghai hurriedly explained to the girl in front of him. This girl is called Lang Xiu. She was exactly the disciple Zong Haiko said had high-grade spiritual root qualifications. Lang Xiu crossed her arms and said angrily, what's the difference? The sect leader has spoken, isn't he just trying to force me? Ahem, Xiu, you can't say that. Zonghai looked around nervously. If the sect leader heard these words, the angry sect leader would skin Lang Xiu alive. Lang Xiu's family is a golden elixir family, and her ancestor is a monk at the 6th level of the golden elixir. In Yongzong's country, it is considered a very good family. But in front of Funan sect, it was still not enough. Ji Yu Qingxi can destroy the Lang family with just a wave of her hand. In addition, Li Tianyi is a talented manufacturing machine. Why does Funan sect need to look at Lang Xiu's face? If you don't want it, someone will. Master, I have a question for you. Why does the sect master ask me to consider whether to marry Li Tianyi? At this time, Lang Xiu thought of her sister Yao Ran. It was under the arrangement of the sect leader that sister Yao Ran quickly got married to Li Tianyi. Could it be that Li Tianyi's identity is amazing? You don't know something, Xiu, Li Tianyi has a special physique. With the permission of the lord of the clan, Zonghai told Lang Xiu about Li Tianyi's special physique. This secret must be told to others. especially those women, otherwise how could they be interested in Li Tianyi? However, this message is prohibited from being passed on to others. After all, once this news is known to people from other sects, Li Tianyi will definitely be snatched away or even killed by other sects. No one wants the Funan sect to become the dominant family. After a while, what? Li Tianyi can actually give his descendants spiritual roots. Shish, Xiu, keep your voice down, this matter must not be spread, do you understand? Seeing Lang Xiu shout out in surprise, Zhong Hai hurriedly set up a sound-barring array nearby. Keep secrets from getting out. This is the key to Funan sect's pout, so it's best to be safe. Oh, I understand, no wonder Sister Yao Ran would marry Li Tianyi, and no wonder the sect leader would let me marry Li Tianyi. Lang Xiu suddenly realized, finally I know why. This all becomes a lot more reasonable. According to what Master said, does it mean that if he combines his high-grade spiritual roots with Li Tianyi, heirs with super-grade spiritual roots or even top-grade spiritual roots can be born? Not to mention a child with top-grade spiritual roots, even a child with super-grade spiritual roots. How long has it been since Yang Zongguo was born? The last genius with super-grade spiritual roots was rumored for more than 5,000 years. Xiu, this opportunity is right in front of you. Think about it, if your child has super-grade spiritual roots, doesn't it mean that you can at least become a powerful mother in the divine transformation stage in the future? How much benefit can the child in the transformation stage bring you? Seeing Lang Xiu thinking quietly, Zhong Hai was beside her and slowly fed her ideas. Gradually, Lang Xiu was said to be a little moved. In fact, she doesn't have to marry Li Tianyi at all. She only needs to borrow a seed from Li Tianyi. In the future, when Li Tianyi dies of old age, she can find a monk she likes and marry him. If you bring a child with super spiritual roots to marry you, the male monk will probably be extremely happy. Even though he is not his own son, he is still a genius with extraordinary spiritual roots. How can he feel unhappy when he calls his father his father? With this idea in mind, Lang Xiu gradually convinced herself in her heart. Master, I think what you said makes sense. You can give it a try. But if you lie to me. Lang Xiu narrowed her eyes, and her pupils exuded a sharp aura. Zhong Hai couldn't help but straighten up and said, don't worry, judging from the current situation, the child born by Li Tianyi will definitely have good spiritual roots. If you have any doubts, wouldn't it be better to just look at the talent of the child Mang Yorin gave birth to and then make plans? Lang Xiu nodded. Okay, that's it. 8 months later. Mang Yorin entered the delivery room with a pregnant belly. In order to ensure that the genius can be born smoothly, Ji Yuqingxi also followed by Kellyu's arrangement and went to the mortal world to find several matchmakers. Shen Wanbai did not have this kind of treatment before. After all, they didn't know at that time that the child in Shen Wanbai's belly would definitely be a genius with high-grade spiritual roots. After a while, a loud and childish cry sounded. Everyone then understood that the child was born. Mang Yorin, whose face turned slightly pale, walked out with the child in her arms. She wanted to witness with her own eyes the scene of the child testing his spiritual roots. As Li Tianyi's wife, she certainly knew that Li Tianyi had a special physique. Ji Yuqingxi gave Bai Kelliu a look. Bai Kelliu came forward with the spiritual root detection stone, and Mang Yorin grabbed the child's little hand and placed it on the stone. Ding! Emerald green light lit up and reflected on everyone's faces. It's a high-grade wood-type spiritual root. Lord Sect Master, have you seen it? Bai Kelliu said excitedly. Now Li Tianyi's title of genius creator is firmly established. Those who get Li Tianyi can get the future. I'm not blind. I saw it. Well done. Li Tianyi, you look a little weak. Ji Yuqingxi just wanted to praise Li Tianyi. He found that Li Tianyi's face was pale and his mental state was very poor. This is not okay. Li Tianyi is now equivalent to the sect's cash cow. How can something happen to the cash cow? Wong Shuangyao and Shen Wanbai next to them worriedly supported Li Tianyi to prevent Li Tianyi from falling to the ground. Sorry, Lord Sect Master, It's okay. You should have a good rest first. Tell me when you're done. Ji Yuqingxi waved her hand to stop Li Tianyi's words. Then he said to Bai Kelliu, 6th Elder, give Li Tianyi a red spirit fruit. Yes, Bai Kelliu quickly took out the red spirit fruit from the space ring and gave it to Li Tianyi to eat. Li Tianyi pretended to be weak and took a bite, but his face did not change at all and was still so pale. How is this going? Ji Yu Qingxi frowned. Red spirit fruit not only has the effect of increasing lifespan, but also can relieve fatigue to a certain extent, replenish energy, and make people look radiant. Father, are you okay? Tianyi, if you feel uncomfortable, tell me. Father, please take a rest quickly. Go and lie down on the bed first. Li Tianyi's wife and children were very worried. One by one, they stepped forward to protect Li Tianyi in the middle, and carefully leaned towards the bed in the room. Seeing this scene, Ji Yu Qingxi temporarily put aside her doubts and asked Bai Kelliu to call all the elders over to see Li Tianyi's condition. Inside the house, Li Tianyi lay, pale, on the bed, and everyone else was called away. Only Ji Yu Qingxi and the elders who came over were left in the room. Lord Sect Leader, cough cough. Don't be anxious, tell us how you feel in your body. The fourth elder will refine some elixirs and they will definitely cure you. Well, Lord Sect Master, I can't see any hidden disease in his body. Fourth elder Lu Qingdan put away his hand on Li Tianyi's wrist, shook his head and sighed. Maybe it's because I have little talent and little knowledge. This is not his main business. It's normal to have some confusion. What do you think, Li Tianyi? Ji Yu Qingxi stood at the head of the bed and stared at Li Tianyi. From the perspective of Li Tianyi lying on the bed, Ji Yu Qingxi's face was almost invisible. That surging mountain peak blocked the beautiful morning sun. Sir, Sect Master, I feel that my body is very weak. It seems that my body has gradually declined since I gave birth to this child with Mang Yorin. Li Tianyi said in a weak tone. Listening to Li Tianyi's words, Ji Yu Qingxi fell into deep thought. Why is this? Shi Ziyuan said. Sir, Sect Leader, do you still remember that the spiritual energy that Li Tianyi absorbs from the spiritual stone reaches his kidneys? I suspect that every time he combines with a woman, the spiritual energy in the kidneys will be extracted. Without the supplement of spiritual stones, if he continues to have children, his body will definitely not be able to bear it. This may be the reason why Li Tianyi's health is getting worse. Under Li Tianyi's deliberate guidance, what Shi Ziyuan said fell right into Li Tianyi's mind. That's it. What you mean is, Li Tianyi, I have a spiritual stone here. You can absorb it and take a look. Ji Yu Qingxi's eyes lit up, and she hurriedly took out a high-grade spiritual stone from the space ring and gave it to Li Tianyi. Li Tianyi weakly stretched out his hand to take it. For a moment, the high-quality spiritual stone disappeared into thin air. Instead, Li Tianyi's pale face regained a trace of vitality. Now Ji Yu Qingxi and the elders all laughed. It seems that their guess was good. All this is related to Li Tianyi not absorbing spiritual energy. Yes, without the kidneys that absorb spiritual energy and store it, how can we give birth to children with high spiritual roots? Without too much hesitation, Ji Yu Qingxi took out a total of 400 high-grade spiritual stones. Li Tianyi absorbed them one by one in front of everyone. In less than a few minutes, all the originally full piles of spirit stones disappeared. All of them were obviously sucked into Li Tianyi's body, but Li Tianyi's state did not change at all. Li Tianyi's physique reminds me of a legendary physique. Shi Ziyuan stroked his long beard and said, Oh, what's your physique? Everyone looked at him in confusion. The ancient kidney body. Is it the holy body? It's almost done. It's a lot different. The other elders looked at Shi Ziyuan angrily. They thought Shi Ziyuan had really found some clues to his physique. Who would have thought that Shi Ziyuan was just joking? Even Ji Yu Qingxi almost couldn't help but want to beat Shi Ziyuan. Thank you, Lord Sect Leader, for the 400 high-grade spiritual stones. I feel great all over now. Li Tianyi quickly stood up from the bed. A screen of light that only he could see appeared in front of him. Host, Li Tianyi. Age, 45. Cultivation, 8th level of Qi training. Qualification, 5 elements waste spirit root. Remaining life, 58,812. Life expectancy has exceeded 50,000 and is approaching 60,000. You have to enter the sect and develop quickly. Just relying on the resources of Hunyuan City is simply not enough. Both spiritual stones and women are far inferior to Fengyan sect. There was no mistake in the plan brewing in his mind. Does it mean that if you want to give birth to a child with high-grade spiritual roots, you need to consume 400 high-grade spiritual stones? Ji Yu Qingxi said thoughtfully. If you think about it this way, geniuses with high-grade spiritual roots are quite cheap. If possible, they would rather exchange 1,000 high-grade spiritual stones for a genius with high-grade spiritual roots. Too bad they couldn't do it. But today is different from the past. Now Li Tianyi is here in Funan sect. It should be, Lord Sect Leader. Li Tianyi did not deliberately set the number of spiritual stones too high. 400 spirit stones are almost enough. In addition to the 1,000 years of life spent, his net income was 39,000 years of life, which was very profitable. I understand. You take your time and rest. By the way, the Great Elder just gave your physique a name, called the Ancient Kidney Physique. What do you think? Since Li Tianyi's physique has never been discovered. So in order to better name this constitution, it is natural to give the constitution a name. Although Shi Ziyuan was more of a joke just now, if you think about it carefully, the Wongu kidney body seems to fit Li Tianyi quite well. Ancient holy body. No problem. Li Tianyi didn't notice this. My attention is on the system panel. He thought it was the holy body, not the so-called kidney body. As long as it's okay with you. Ji Yu Qingxi looked at Li Tianyi with a strange look. He took the elders and left. The parties involved have said that there is no problem, so what else can they say? When I go back, I will add an ancient kidney body to the ancient books about physical constitution. After everyone walked away, Li Tianyi's fourth son, Li Feng, walked in. Father, have you not been discovered? The only person who knew that Li Tianyi was pretending to be ill was Li Feng. Despite his young age, Li Feng is actually quite mature mentally. No, the performance was very successful. Li Tianyi smiled with satisfaction. That's good. By the way, Father, I took on a sect mission not long ago and plan to go down the mountain to have a look. Li Feng said, I have stayed in Funan sect long enough. It's time to go out and see a different world. He is not a blind and arrogant person. The task Li Feng accepted was to collect medicinal herbs that could be completed at the 5th level of Qi training. I am already a monk in the foundation building stage. Completing a mission of this level is a piece of cake. A sect mission. It's good to go out for a walk. Li Tianyi nodded. Late at night, Li Tianyi originally wanted to have another child with Wang Shuangyao. Li Yanmiao, who had given birth to Wang Shuangyao before, gave him a surprise. Unexpectedly, a dark shadow flashed past the window outside. Wang Shuangyao was startled and was about to take out his weapon when Li Tianyi stopped him. With the gate protecting formation here, it shouldn't be an assassin. Furthermore, in order to ensure my safety, the elders specially set up another formation on our mountain peak. Other outsiders cannot come in without the permission of the elders. If they come in, they must cause changes in the formation, so they are not enemies. Li Tianyi analyzed it to Wang Shuangyao. After patting Wang Shuangyao comfortingly, he stood up and came to the door. As soon as he went out, he saw a female disciple dressed in Funan sect clothes standing in front of him. His guess was indeed correct. Are you Li Tianyi? You're pretty good looking. The person who came was none other than Lang Xiu. I wonder why the fairy came to me in the middle of the night. Li Tianyi asked. These are 400 high-grade spiritual stones. Let's fight quickly. Li Tianyi twitched the corner of his mouth and looked at the woman in front of him. Are you even skipping the matter of getting married now? The first thing I did was throw him a bag of spiritual stones and let him finish the battle quickly. What is a quick fix? This is not looking down on yourself. Why are you still standing there? Lang Xiu saw Li Tianyi standing motionless. He stepped forward and asked rather impatiently. No, you misunderstood me, fairy, I need to at least know your name. The name is just a code name, why bother remembering it? It's just a transaction anyway. Fine, what else could Li Tianyi say? He immediately picked up the fairy in front of him and walked towards the empty room. Lang Xiu, who was lying in his arms, was so nervous that her body was shaking a little. The corners of Li Tianyi's mouth raised slightly. She seemed to be very hot-tempered, and she thought she had gone through a lot, but she was just a young girl. Accompanied by the light call of a hornbill. Host, Li Tianyi. Age, 45. Cultivation, 8th level of Qi training. Qualification, 5 elements waste spirit root. Remaining life, 58,812. It is detected that the host is giving birth to an heir, and the spiritual root of the partner is a high-grade fire spiritual root. Start your choice. After 10 years of lifespan, the offspring's spiritual root becomes a middle-grade fire-type spiritual root. After spending 100 years of life, the spiritual root of the offspring is a good quality fire spiritual root. After spending 1,000 years of life, the spiritual root of the offspring will be a high-grade fire spiritual root. After spending 10,000 years of life, the spiritual root of the offspring is a super-grade fire spiritual root. After spending 100,000 years of life, the spiritual root of the offspring is the best spiritual root of the fire system. The woman in front of me is actually a high-grade fire-type spiritual root. Leeni was severely shocked. He never expected it. I made a lot of money this time. The only regret that moved him was that his lifespan was not long enough. Otherwise, a super genius with the best spiritual roots can be created at once. Now, even if Leeni absorbed the 400 high-grade spiritual stones, it would not be enough. But I thought of Lang Xiu in front of me. Leeni stopped and said, I wonder, fairy, if you still have spirit stones on your body. How come you, the spirit stone? There is no more. Lang Xiu's face turned red at this moment. I was a little confused when I heard Leeni's question. Ever since, she took the initiative to build potted plants, don't be distracted. Fine. Helpless, Leeni could only choose to spend 10,000 years of life. I must make it clear to Ji Yu Qingxi next time. If you want to create a genius with top-grade spiritual roots, 400 high-grade spiritual stones alone are completely insufficient. The sky dimly lit up. The morning light had just poured into the room through the window. Lang Xiu put on all her clothes and drove Feijian away from the mountain. Originally, she wanted to stay for a while and then leave. But after the encounter, she became even more obsessed with the feeling of pruning potted plants. In the end, it took him a whole night to finally leave Leeni reluctantly. Leeni walked out and picked up the 400 high-grade spiritual stones on the table and absorbed them. His lifespan of 40,000 years was instantly restored. Ding! Congratulations to the host for consuming a total of 10,000 years of life, and the system has begun to upgrade. Ding! Update completed. Enable new system features and upgrades. 1. Upgrade the cultivation back-feeding function, which will increase tenfold on the basis of the original heir's cultivation back-feeding. 2. New function, hidden function, consuming lifespan to help the host hide and disguise its realm and aura. 3. Turn on the new function and fall in love with the host over time. The woman who talks to the host in the future will gradually fall in love with the host until death. 4. Upgrading consumes lifespan to gain strength, consumes 100 years of life to achieve a perfect blow of chi training, consumes 1,000 years of life to achieve a perfect strike of foundation building, consumes a life of 10,000 years to gain a perfect blow of golden elixir, consumes a life of 100,000 years to gain a perfect blow of Yuan the infant's perfect blow. 5. Turn on the physical strengthening function. Consuming your lifespan can not only increase your spiritual roots, but also add special physiques to your heirs. 6. Turn on the descendant positioning and transmission function. After consuming 100 years of life, you can quickly teleport to your heir. After the system upgrade, Leeni was given 4 new functions and upgraded 2 original functions. This is extremely helpful to Leeni, especially the functions of hiding aura and positioning and transmitting offspring. Why would Funan sect allow him to help him have a child? It's not because his own talent is very poor, his realm cannot be improved at all, and he will die in 100 years. By then, his children will definitely have to obey the sect and not listen to his father. You will feel that Leeni is easy to control. Now Leeni only needs to maintain his external realm to the 8th level of chi training to make the people of Funan sect relax their vigilance. The second is positioning transmission, with this function plus the heir growth function. You can prevent your children from being in danger yourself. If they encounter danger, the worst case scenario is to teleport them there and then transport them to a safe child. The system begins to feed back cultivation. Leeni said. Ding! Li Xing broke through the 5th level of foundation building and fed back 1% of his cultivation. Ding! Li Shuier broke through to the great perfection state of chi training and gave back 1/10 of her cultivation. Ding! Li Yan broke through the 7th level of Qi training and fed back 1/10 of her cultivation. Ding! Li Feng broke through the 3rd level of foundation building and fed back 1% of his cultivation. Boom! Li Tianyi's momentum continues to rise. In the blink of an eye, the 8th level of Qi training reached the great perfection of Qi training. Not only that, but after a while, his realm broke through to the foundation level. Li Tianyi broke through the threshold that many Qi practitioners were stuck on so easily. Real breakthrough cultivation is as simple as drinking water. One level of foundation has been established. Li Tianyi felt the power in her body and said happily, "Is this what it feels like to build a foundation? It's really good." After a little feeling, Li Tianyi burned 10 years of his life to keep his superficial cultivation at the 8th level of Qi training. Cool. Li Tianyi was originally worried that Funan sect would arouse curiosity after he achieved a breakthrough in his realm. Now this worry is automatically eliminated. As long as he doesn't have to use all his strength, he can maintain the 8th level of Qi training. This group of people must think that they are very good at it. After taking a look at the system tasks, I found that the next condition for improving the system was not 100,000 years, but a full 1 million years. But it's okay. If it were Li Tianyi from before, he must have thought that there was no hope for him. But after what happened with Lang Xiu, he is now confident. In the worst case, Lang Xiu can help her give birth to 10 children. Isn't a mere 1 million within reach? Li Tianyi, who was full of energy, came to his senses and walked to the room, continuing the activities that he and Wang Shuangyao had not done last night. It is detected that the host is giving birth to an heir, and the partner's spiritual root is a medium-grade fire spiritual root. Start your choice. After 10 years of lifespan, the offspring's spiritual root becomes a middle-grade fire-type spiritual root. After spending 100 years of life, the spiritual root of the offspring is a good quality fire spiritual root. After spending 1,000 years of life, the spiritual root of the offspring will be a high-grade fire spiritual root. Choose 1,000 years of life. Li Tianyi now has a long life. Noon. The scorching sun hung directly overhead. Li Tianyi once again showed off her acting skills. You're saying that a strange woman came to you last night and gave you 400 high-grade spiritual stones, and then you had love, and then you found that the spiritual energy of the 400 high-grade spiritual stones was not enough. Ji Yu Qingxi listened to Li Tianyi complaining to her in front of her. Slightly overwhelmed. As the leader of the sect, she has resolved thousands of disputes, not to mention tens of thousands. Now, it was the first time that Li Tianyi asked herself to handle this kind of thing for her. Today in the main hall, except for myself, the elders are all staying on their respective hills. No other elders can help make decisions. She really didn't know how to deal with this kind of thing. That's right, Lord Sect Master, you have to make the decision for me. That woman's spiritual roots are at least high-grade spiritual roots, and they have consumed almost all of my spiritual energy. Even if we supplement it with these 400 high-grade spiritual stones, it's still not enough. Before Li Tianyi came, he consumed all the spiritual energy in his body first. In this way, he could pretend to be desolate and exhausted in front of Ji Yu Qingxi. Ji Yu Qingxi is a powerful nascent soul. Even without getting close to Li Tianyi, it can be seen that the spiritual power in Li Tianyi's body is very weak at this moment. Like a candle in the wind, it seems to be extinguished as soon as it is blown. How many spiritual stones do you need? Ji Yu Qingxi didn't know who the woman was yet. However, the clue of high-grade spiritual roots narrowed the scope to 2 people. Funan sect except Li Tianyi's children. Originally, there were only 3 high-grade spiritual root disciples, 2 women and 1 man. Sir, Sect Master, I have had a brief experience. It takes about 2,000 high-grade spiritual stones to give birth to a child with super-grade spiritual roots by combining with a woman with high-grade spiritual roots. If you want to give birth to a child with top-grade spiritual roots, you will need at least 20,000 high-grade spiritual stones. Li Tianyi converted the required lifespan into spiritual stones, doubled them and told Ji Yu Qingxi. He cannot ask the other party to give him as much as he consumes. No matter what happens, I have to make some compensation. Otherwise, the replenished lifespan alone would not be enough to store his lifespan, and it would consume 100,000 years of lifespan to issue the nascent soul great perfection blow. As for why not say more? That's because Li Tianyi worries too much that Funan sect will not be able to afford it or the progress will be slowed down. That's why I just deliberately asked for twice the amount of spiritual stones. After all, the highest level of Funan sect is the nascent soul stage powerful person who can help out. If it were replaced by a combination period, Mahayana period, Li Tianyi would definitely ask for more of these powerful Holy Land sects. 2,000 high-grade spiritual stones. I understand. These are 2,000 high-grade spiritual stones. Take it. 2,000 high-grade spiritual stones are still acceptable to Funan sect. It's considered within the acceptable range. Ji Yuqingxi felt very happy when she thought that Li Tianyi could create a child with super spiritual roots for the sect. Everything was great value for money. For example, the Funan sect's gate protecting formation consumes a full 10,000 high-grade spiritual stones every year. Thank you, Master. Li Tianyi picked up the space bag containing 2,000 high-grade spiritual stones and was about to turn around and leave. Wait a moment. A gust of fragrant wind came. Ji Yuqingxi came to Li Tianyi's side without him noticing at all. She grabbed his wrist and felt it carefully and said, "Is your cultivation level still at the 8th level of Qi training?" "Yes, Lord Sect Master. You also know that my talent is nothing more than the 5 elements useless spiritual roots. Being able to reach the 8th level of Qi training is already the best adventure in my life." Li Tianyi pretended to smile bitterly. "I was very happy in my heart. The features brought by this upgraded system are really timely. Without this function, Ji Yuqingxi would find that she was already in the foundation building stage. Don't worry, this is a red spirit fruit. It can increase your lifespan by 100 years. Just eat it." Ji Yuqingxi took out a red spirit fruit from the space ring and handed it to Li Tianyi. "Thank you, Lord Sect Master." Li Tianyi received the red spirit fruit with excitement, as if she had received a holy treasure. "There is no need to thank me. Now you are also a member of Funan sect. This is what I should do as the sect leader. You can leave." Watching Li Tianyi go away, Ji Yuqingxi slowly withdrew her gaze. Li Tianyi's talent is indeed very poor, and he is still at the 8th level of Qi training after such a long time. It seems that there is no hope of building a foundation in this life. As long as Li Tianyi cannot become stronger, then he can be controlled by Funan sect. Give Li Tianyi 1 red spirit fruit instead of 3. That's because Ji Yuqingxi didn't want Li Tianyi to live too long. If Li Tianyi lives too long, it will be very detrimental to Funan sect. 300 years are enough for these geniuses to grow to a certain level. In order to prevent them from joining forces under the orders of his father Li Tianyi must not live too long. The extra 100 years of life is enough to add many talents to Funan sect. When the time comes, Li Tianyi will die again. Geniuses who have lost their fathers will wholeheartedly join the sect and serve the sect. Ji Yuqingxi thought about it, put her 2 fingers together in front of her lips and silently recited the sound transmission. After a while, the 3rd elder, Zhong Hai, came. "Zhong Hai, did your disciple go out last night?" "Yes, Lord Sect Master." Facing Ji Yuqingxi, Zhong Hai didn't hide anything. "Tell the truth decisively. There is no need to hide this kind of thing. As expected, it is your disciple Lang Xiu. I said Nan Rongya is not a person of this kind of character." Ji Yuqingxi felt that her intuition was quite accurate. Zhong Hai was called over directly. Ji Yuqingxi said, "Is Lang Xiu pregnant?" "Sir, you don't know something. It will take at least a month to test whether you are pregnant." Zhong Hai gave Ji Yuqingxi a little knowledge. A month, that's a long time. Ji Yuqingxi never thought that there would be such a troublesome thing. Zhong Hai can understand Sect Master Ji Yu. Although she is a powerful nascent soul, she has never had any experience. It is normal not to understand this. By the way, Zhong Hai, give me 2,000 high-grade spiritual stones. Okay, Lord Sect Master, 2,000, what? 2,000 high-grade spiritual stones. When Zhong Hai was just taking out his pocket, he was suddenly stunned. Did he hear it right? Why does the sect leader want 2,000 high-grade spiritual stones? As the 3rd elder, my monthly salary is only 500 high-grade spiritual stones. 500 high-grade spiritual stones doesn't sound like much. But you must know that this is a low-grade spiritual stone equivalent to 50,000. What's wrong? It's because of your disciple that I took out 2,000 high-grade spiritual stones. Is it possible that you, as the master, don't give it back to me? Host. Leeni. Age. 46. Cultivation. 1 level of foundation building. Qualification. 5 elements waste spirit root. Remaining life. 288,812. After absorbing the 2,000 high-grade spiritual stones given by Ji Yuqingxi, Leeni had a lifespan of nearly 300,000. Now his lifespan has not only surpassed that of the transformation god, but even the powerful men in the Mahayana period cannot live as long as Leeni. Ding! It was detected that the fourth son Lifeng was out practicing collecting herbs. He accidentally discovered a cave and obtained the inheritance of the nascent soul monk. Before Leeni returned to the mountain, the system informed her of the good news. He is worthy of being his own son. As expected, they are all lucky people. It seems that if there is a chance, we still need to let the children go out for more walks while ensuring safety. Only then can you encounter the opportunities that belong to you. Although it is safe to stay in Funan sect, opportunities will also disappear. There are gains and there are losses. Ding! Li Feng's cultivation broke through the 4th level of foundation building, and he returned 100% of his cultivation. Ding! Li Feng's cultivation broke through the 5th level of foundation building, and he fed back 1% of his cultivation. The inheritance of a powerful nascent soul directly allowed Li Feng to break through 2 realms. Reached the 5th floor of foundation building. Leeni was very pleased. It is at this speed of progress that he will gain more cultivation. In the next month, Leeni found Shen Wanbai again, had an intimate relationship with her, and made her pregnant with a child with high-grade spiritual roots. As for the other wives, although they were affectionate, Leeni did not choose to waste his life letting them have children. After all, the other wives' qualifications are not particularly high, and their own cultivation is relatively low. Having children so frequently will cause a great loss of vitality in their bodies, which is extremely bad for their health. No matter what, they are all Leeni's wives, and Leeni will never treat them badly. He will try his best to improve their cultivation and lifespan. Leeni also gave Li Qingqing the red spirit fruit that Ji Yuqingxi gave him. Among all the wives, Li Qingqing has the lowest spiritual roots. The other concubines recruited later, at least relying on their own talents and combined with the resources of Funan sect, can barely build the foundation. What Leeni didn't expect was that Mang Yorin, not long after giving birth to Li Keikai, came to him. Yorin, what do you want from me? Leeni is making some puppets for the children in the yard. You don't need to practice yourself. When I have nothing to do, I play with some children who have not yet grown up, which can enhance the relationship between father and son. I want to have another child with you, Mang Yorin said shyly. That was her original plan. Ostensibly married to Leeni, but having a child with Leeni is enough. Anyway, he has so many wives, not least of which is himself. But since it had been almost a year since that incident, she became more and more unbearable and felt uncomfortable all over. When I close my eyes, I remember what happened that night. This made it difficult for her to practice every step of the way. There was no other way, so Mang Yorin had no choice but to shamelessly approach Leeni. She was also holding her daughter Li Keikai in her arms. Li Ying, I'm here, father. A cute little girl no more than 2 or 3 years old ran up to Leeni. As a person in the world of cultivating immortals, after being contaminated with spiritual energy, his growth rate is far faster than that of ordinary people. Especially a genius with high-grade spiritual roots like Li Ying. He is naturally able to absorb spiritual energy faster than other people. You take care of Sister Li Keikai, and I'll accompany your aunt to have a chat. Leeni chuckled. No problem. Li Ying walked up to Mang Yorin and said, Auntie, just leave Sister Li Keikai to me. I will take good care of my sister. Sister, don't say that. We are all here. Aunt, Sister Li Keikai will be taken care of by us. At this moment, the other brothers and sisters came over. The eldest is Li Shu, who is almost 10 years old. The youngest is Li Ying, just over 2 years old. Then I'll leave it to you. Mang Yorin gently bent down slightly and handed Li Keikai to Li Ying to hold her. He followed Leeni to the house on the other side. By the way, a magic circle was set up to prohibit anyone from entering and prevent sounds from coming out. Fengyan Zongwei, somewhere in the mountains of Yangzongguo. In a quaint cave, Li Feng sat cross-legged on the cold stone, circulating the spiritual energy in his body. Li Feng let out a breath of turbid air, and opened his eyes with a flash of golden light. There was obvious joy in his eyes. 5 levels of foundation building. I thought it would take at least another year before I could hope to build the 5th floor. I didn't expect that just by leaving the sect and coming here to collect medicinal materials, I could obtain the inheritance of nascent soul's power. And the biggest gain was not a breakthrough in realm, it was that he obtained a book called 3 Transformations Zongong. 3 Turns of Zongong. When your realm reaches the level of foundation establishment, you must cancel your cultivation once and let your cultivation fall back to the level of foundation establishment to continue practicing. After practicing to the first level of foundation building again, the first turn was completed. If you break through the golden elixir at this time, your spiritual energy will be condensed far beyond that of a normal golden elixir stage monk. As we all know, the higher the realm, the greater the differences at each level. And this 3-turn mysterious skill can make this gap very small. You can cancel your cultivation level up to 3 times and complete 3 transformations. When the time comes, you have formed a golden elixir, and with your first level golden elixir cultivation, it is more than enough to beat a 3rd level golden elixir monk. He can even forcefully defeat a monk at the 5th level of the golden core. Of course, this must exclude whether the opponent also has any powerful skills, abilities, or magic weapons. If we let everyone practice this technique together, we can distance ourselves from other monks, right? Li Feng's first thought was not to keep it for himself, but to share it with his brothers and sisters. Father said that there was no distinction between brothers and sisters. All good things should be brought out and shared together, so that the family can grow faster and better. Everything is for the honor of the family. I will tell my father the good news when I get back. After putting away some of the magic weapons left behind by the 3rd transformation Zongong and nascent soul power, Li Feng was ready to leave. Suddenly this time, Li Feng's mind was shaken, and his body subconsciously dodged to the right. Boom! Rocks tens of meters high exploded instantly, turning into pieces of rubble flying all over the sky, kicking up huge clouds of dust. Who is it? Li Feng said angrily. If it weren't for my keen sense of danger and my body's quick reaction, I'm afraid it will become dregs like that rock. 5th level of foundation building. You are quite capable of avoiding my attack. Tell me, what did you see when you entered just now? Boom! The powerful pressure belonging to the golden core stage monks swept over. Golden elixir. Li Feng was very familiar with this aura. One of his senior brothers is a golden elixir stage monk. It seems a bit troublesome. Looking up, he saw a man in grey robe with a cold face and slightly sunken cheeks, driving a flying sword to float above him. Looking at the other party's clothes, Li Feng recalled what his master Shi Ziyuan once said to him. In addition to the 2 orthodox sects and 2 sects, there are also 3 sects and 1 demonic sect. Judging by the other person's clothes, he should be a demonic disciple of Grey Mist sect. If he is an upright disciple, the other party may also take his identity into consideration. But what if it was the demonic disciple in front of me? They won't care so much when they take action. The opponent is still in the golden elixir stage. Don't say that you are only at the 5th level of foundation building. Even if you complete the foundation building, you still cannot be the opponent's opponent. My father once said that if you keep the green hills, you won't have to worry about running out of firewood. Being able to survive is better than anything else. I can give you what I got, provided you let me go. Li Feng looked around while speaking, looking for opportunities to escape. Let you go. Stop joking. I'll kill you. The things are mine as well. This Grey Mist sect disciple is not stupid. Killing and stealing goods is a traditional virtue of demon disciples. Li Feng frowned. Could it be that he had no chance to leave here? I haven't grown up yet, and I haven't helped my father out of trouble yet, so how could I fall down in a place like this? May I have your name? Li Feng. Li Feng. Very good. Listen carefully. The person who killed you is the senior disciple of Grey Mist sect, Xing Li. Xing Li is the top disciple of the Grey Fog sect. He is also a core disciple of an elder. He possesses the cultivation level of the 3rd level of Jindan. It was easy to kill Li Feng, a 5th level monk. The overwhelming gray mist spurted out from Xingli's sleeves. The evil gray mist quickly turned into a giant gray python as it flew and swept away. It opened its bloody mouth and showed its terrifying fangs, pretending to swallow Li Feng into his belly. The speed was so fast that Li Feng had no ability to avoid it. Knowing that he had nowhere to escape, Li Feng gritted his teeth and mustered up the courage to draw the weapon. It is a top-grade magic weapon. Just in the nick of time. Stop hurting my son. What? An absolutely overwhelming force emerged from behind Li Feng. The endless violent wind seemed to turn into a giant dragon, instantly swallowing up the gray python in front of him, making the severe attack disappear. Before Xingli could see clearly who was coming, the giant dragon formed by the hurricane continued to fly towards him with its fangs and claws. Xingli could tell at a glance that the attacker was definitely a monk much stronger than himself. Before he could take out his magic weapon, the dragon's wind blade flashed past him. In an instant, Xingli's body was cut apart piece by the wind blade. Strips of flesh carried blood from midair and spilled all over the ground. The space ring worn on Xingli's finger was dragged by a spiritual energy and slowly flew behind Li Feng. Hearing the familiar voice from before, Li Feng turned his head in disbelief and said, "Are you, father?" Let someone who is beyond Li Feng's influence appear. It was his father, Li Tianyi. When did my father have the ability to kill golden core stage cultivators with a snap of his fingers? And how did your father appear here? Questions came to Li Feng's mind one after another, leaving him puzzled. Fenger, are you okay? Li Tianyi nodded slightly and put away the space ring calmly. Originally, he stayed well in the sect at first. Just as he was about to be affectionate with Mang Yorin, he received a reminder from the system. The child Li Feng is in fear of his life. Li Tianyi can't sit still now. He immediately spent 100 years of his life and teleported to Li Feng. As soon as I arrived, I saw this scene in front of me. Without saying a word, he chose to consume his 10,000-year lifespan and use the full strength of the golden elixir stage Zochin. Perhaps a lifespan of 10,000 years was a lot for my former self. But for Li Tianyi now, it's still easy. Now he already has a lifespan of 270,000 years. The full strength strike of Zochin in the golden elixir stage can be used 27 times. Even the full strength blow of Zochin in the nascent soul stage can be used twice. Said without politeness, within Yang Zongguo, nascent soul Zochin is definitely the strongest and has no rivals. My father is fine, but father, you. Li Feng's words came to his lips. There are so many questions and I don't know what to say. Li Tianyi smiled and said, you don't have to worry about all this. Remember what happened today, and be careful no matter what in the future. Yes, father, I learned my lesson. Yes, father, I discovered this. Li Feng took out the 3-turn Zon Gong from the ring and gave it to Li Tianyi. After Li Tianyi received the 3-turn Zon Gong, he took a brief look at it, his eyes lit up and he said, good technique. The levels of exercises widely used in the world of cultivating immortals are spiritual grade, Huang grade, Zon grade, earth grade, heaven grade, holy grade and immortal grade exercises. Each level is further divided into upper, middle and lower levels. This 3-turn mysterious skill should be a skill above the middle level of the earth grade. In this Yangzong kingdom, it is definitely one of the best techniques. You must know that the Fengyan art that generations of Fengyan sect masters can practice is only at the mid-level earth level. Fengyan sword technique is practiced by Fengyan sect's core disciples. It evolved from Fengyan Ju and is an upper-level Xuanpin skill. What Li Feng is practicing now is Fengyan sword art. Fengyan Ju and Fengyan sword Ju seem to differ by only one word, but in fact they are very different. This is your opportunity, Fenger. Li Tianyi said. Hee, it seems that I am very lucky. Father, by the way, should I hand over this 3-turn mysterious skill to my brothers and sisters to practice together? Li Feng originally planned to do this. Now that my father is right in front of me, let's ask him for his opinion. Well, just leave it to your brothers and sisters who have high-grade spiritual roots or above. Don't use the others for now. Li Tianyi returned the 3rd transformation Zon Gong to Li Feng and said. He doesn't practice. Because his own qualifications are very poor, it is useless to practice any skills. So just sit back and wait for the children to practice. It's still delicious to sit back and enjoy the results. Why, father? Li Feng was a little puzzled. Didn't your father say that you should share good things with your brothers and sisters? Others are not talented enough. Practicing this technique will slow down their cultivation speed and even prevent them from forming elixirs. Li Tianyi explained to Li Feng. The most important thing about the 3 transformations Zongong is that you have to practice the foundation building period 3 times in order to complete it. It is not easy for a child with low talent to go from the foundation building stage to the golden elixir stage. As a result, you asked him to abandon his cultivation and try again. If you can't do it the second time, won't it mean that you will never be able to achieve the golden elixir? There are advantages and disadvantages to the 3 transformation mysterious skills. This is the reason why the 3 transformation mysterious techniques can only be regarded as earth-level techniques. I understand, father, I didn't think carefully. Li Feng suddenly understood and nodded. My father is still thoughtful, and I have a lot to learn from my father. Li Tianyi put his hands behind his back, looked at the green mountain in front of him and said, there is nascent soul inheritance here, which means that something happened here. Father, do you want me to continue exploring? Li Feng asked. He has already completed his sect mission. You can go back at any time, or you can stay here. No need, the other party looks quite young, and with his strong golden elixir cultivation, he must be a core disciple of the Grey Fog sect. There must be his colleagues nearby. Returning to Fengyan sect as soon as possible is what you should do. Li Tianyi found that although his child Li Feng was talented and intelligent, he was still too young when faced with some experiences. If it were a normal person, he would have been rescued with great difficulty just now. Where will I continue to stay in the same place? He had already run to a safe place. What father said is true, let's go back first, father. No, you go back by yourself. Don't worry, I will follow you. Okay, okay, although I don't understand why my father doesn't walk side by side with me. But Li Feng knew that just obey his father's words. Li Feng controlled the flying sword and headed towards Fengyan sect. Li Tianyi followed closely behind. After Li Feng reached a safe area, Li Tianyi used his ability to locate Li Ying in Fengyan sect. Fengyan sect. Ah, it's father. Father, when did you come? We are playing hide and seek here. Father, would you like to play with us? As soon as Li Tianyi appeared, she attracted the children's attention. Okay, don't worry, Dad, I'll play with you. Li Tianyi looked at the children in front of him and smiled happily. Time passed so little by little. 8 months passed quickly. What is surprising is that Lang Xiu has not yet given birth to the child, but Wong Shuangyao, who came from behind, gave birth to a child. After testing, it was found that he was a boy with a high-grade fire spiritual root. Li Tianyi named him Li Yan. Later, Shen Wanbai and Mang Yorin's children were born one after another. They are the high-grade spiritual roots of the gold system and the high-grade spiritual roots of the wood system. One man and one woman, their names are Li Shun and Li Muru. At the same time, after this period of getting along, Mang Yorin has completely fallen in love with Li Tianyi. The relationship with Li Tianyi is no longer the transactional one it was before. In order to reward Li Tianyi for giving birth to 3 geniuses with high-grade spiritual roots in the sect, Fengyan sect specially rewarded Li Tianyi with a total of 1,200 high-grade spiritual stones. Li Tianyi added lifespan to all absorption. And just as Li Tianyi expected, after absorbing these spiritual stones, the great elder Shi Ziyuan came to him and tested his cultivation level. After discovering that Li Tianyi was still at the 8th level of Qi training, everyone nodded with satisfaction. As long as Li Tianyi can maintain the 8th level of Qi training, he can be controlled by them. It's strange, the 3 of them gave birth so quickly. Why hasn't Lang Xiu come yet? Could it be that she's not pregnant yet? Ji Yu Qingxi said doubtfully. After all the calculations, Lang Xiu has been pregnant for almost a year. Normally, if you are pregnant in 8 months, no one will be pregnant for 1 year. Master sect leader, Lang Xiu's belly is already big. Can this deceive you? Zhong Hai said quite helplessly. The evidence is all in front of the sect leader, but the sect leader is still doubting himself. It's a bit sad, Ji Yu Qingxi said. Then why haven't you been born yet? Sir, sect master, I checked the records in ancient books and found that the more talented the child, the longer it will take to get pregnant. Mang Jingwei reminded. Is that so? Doesn't this mean that the child in Lang Xiu's belly must be stronger than the high-grade spiritual roots? Ji Yu Qingxi's eyes lit up. She was looking forward to the birth of this child more and more. In order to take care of Li Tianyi's talented children wholeheartedly, Funan sect has not even recruited disciples in these years. After all, can the genius disciple discovered in the mortal world be as good as Li Tianyi's child? If they were really that strong, Funan sect would not have only had 3 geniuses with high-grade spiritual roots before. Yes, Lord Sect Master, all we have to do next is to wait slowly for Lang Xiu to bring us good news. With that said, everyone left the mountain and returned to the sect hall to continue discussing matters. After seeing everyone leave, Li Tianyi stepped forward and gently stroked his 16th child. Li Muru said, "Grow up quickly, kid." Night. All 3 wives had just given birth to children, and the remaining wives were not qualified enough to give birth to children with high-grade spiritual roots. Li Tianyi rarely gets a night's rest. Unexpectedly, another surprising person came to him at night. You are Elder Mang. Spiritual power covered his eyes, allowing Li Tianyi to see clearly the appearance of the person coming. It was the second elder of Funan sect, Mang Jingwei. He was the elder who had previously taken his family to fly to Funan sect in an immortal boat. Isn't this elder? Shish, don't talk too much. Just remember that what happened tonight is just a dream. My talent is a middle-grade spiritual root. The child I can give birth to will have a high-grade spiritual root, right? Mang Jingwei put her little hand in front of her mouth to signal Li Tianyi not to shout loudly. That's right, Li Tianyi nodded. These are 400 high-grade spiritual stones. Take it. Mang Jingwei directly threw a bag of high-grade spiritual stones that she had prepared for Li Tianyi to absorb. Li Tianyi took the spirit stone and began to absorb it. While absorbing it, he also asked, "Actually, I'm very curious, Elder Mang, why did you come to me? My Taoist companion who was not yet married to me died in an accident 50 years ago. During these years, I have been alone. After seeing your special physique, I was a little moved. I want to give myself a child with high-grade spiritual roots and teach him seriously, so as to say goodbye to the past. Don't worry, the child you give birth to will not need your care. I will take him to grow up together." Mang Jingwei explained. She simply wants a child. Li Tianyi can guarantee that his child will have high-grade spiritual roots. This is very tempting to Mang Jingwei. I understand. After absorbing the spirit stone, Li Tianyi and Mang Jingwei discussed gardening techniques. I don't know if I don't discuss it, but I'll be shocked when I discuss it. Li Tianyi was shocked to find that Elder Mang, although he looked experienced in many battles, actually had 0 practical experience. After noticing Li Tianyi's surprised look, Mang Jingwei explained. His former Taoist companion died unexpectedly before he could get married. But after all, she is already a golden elixir stage monk. Although I have never done any actual combat, I have read some drawing books. Li Tianyi initially thought that she could become Mang Jingwei's horticulture teacher by virtue of her experience. Unexpectedly, the body of the golden elixir expert is stronger. It's so terrifying. It's definitely not something that a foundation-building monk like him can handle. Ding! It is detected that the host is giving birth to an heir, and the partner's spiritual root is a middle-grade earth spiritual root. Ding! It was detected that Mang Jingwei has a special physique, an earth spirit body. After 10 years of lifespan, the offspring's spiritual root becomes a middle-grade earth element spiritual root. After spending 100 years of life, the spiritual root of the descendant will be a good quality earth spiritual root. After spending 1,000 years of life, the spiritual root of the descendant will be a high-grade earth spiritual root. After spending 2,000 years of life, the descendant's spiritual root was upgraded to a high-grade earth spiritual root, and he inherited Mang Jing's earth spiritual body. After spending 2,500 years of life, the descendant's spiritual root was upgraded to a high-grade earth element spiritual root, and at the same time, the earth mysterious body was upgraded. Earth spirit body. Li Tianyi was stunned. Mang Jingwei gave herself a surprise. It actually has special qualities. Although I don't understand the function of this special physique, since it is a special physique, it means that it is definitely different from ordinary people in strength. The body of Earth's on. Check it out again if you have time. The next day, at dawn, Mang Jingwei reluctantly left Li Tianyi's side. She hadn't really vented in a long time, so last night alone wasn't enough time. She decided to do it again tonight. Definitely, it's definitely not that she's greedy or anything, she's just worried that she won't get pregnant. Yes, that's it. Mang Jingwei convinced herself and returned to her hilltop. I don't know if anyone discovered him during the whole process. The powerful golden elixir is so terrifying that not even the ancient kidney body can withstand it. Li Tianyi touched her aching waist, walked to the door and looked at the direction where Mang Jingwei left. Can't really blame him. There is really a big difference between her own realm and Mang Jingwei's. She is no match for Mang Jingwei. Realm can affect the physical strength of monks. A golden core stage cultivator like Mang Jingwei must have stronger physical strength than a foundation establishment cultivator like him. Ding! Li Xing broke through the 6th level of foundation building and fed back 1% of his cultivation. Ding! Li Shui'er broke through the 1st level of foundation building and fed back 1% of her cultivation. Ding! Li Yan broke through the 8th level of qi training and fed back 1/10 of her cultivation. Ding! Li Feng broke through the 6th level of foundation building and fed back 1% of his cultivation. Li Tianyi's cultivation level broke through to the 3rd level of foundation building in one fell swoop. Cool, it's still a great feeling to get stronger while sitting. There is no need to practice at all. What spiritual talent, what is this? Noon, you need to read ancient books that record physical fitness. Bai Kelliu was a little surprised. Yes, Elder Bai, you know me. I basically have nothing to do here. I just want to see more information about the world of immortality. Li Tianyi casually found an excuse and said, "Is this so? No problem. I will go to the Great Elder to get a copy for you later." Bai Kelliu nodded in sudden realization. Of course this little thing is possible. It's just a book. It would be good for young people to read more books. After all, Li Tianyi cannot cultivate to the foundation building stage. Even if he is given red spirit fruit to eat, his lifespan will be limited after all. Soon, not long after Li Tianyi and Bai Kelliu separated, Bai Kelliu handed an ancient book to Li Tianyi. Look, it records the physiques discovered by Funan sect over the years. Thank you, Elder Bai. Li Tianyi took the book and thanked him. No need to thank me. You are a great hero of Funan sect. If you need any ancient books in the future, please tell me. The Great Elder will be happy to lend them to you. Bai Kelliu said politely. Then he left. With his talent, it would be difficult for him to reach the golden elixir stage. But that doesn't mean he will give up. With 3 red spirit fruits, he will try his best to break through to the golden elixir stage before his longevity reaches the end. You must not sit still and wait for death. As soon as Bai Kelliu left, Li Tianyi found a lounge chair and lay down. When Li Ying and others nearby saw this, they hurriedly took out their fans and ran to Li Tianyi to fan him. The earthly mysterious body has been found. Li Tianyi immediately found the physique he wanted to see. The body of the earth. According to legend, monks with earth spiritual roots have a physique that has a probability of awakening. It allows you to feel the power of the earth and increase your strength. When practicing earth-based exercises at the same time, the speed can be increased by nearly half. Mang Jingwei's earth spirit body can only increase the speed of practicing earth-based skills by a quarter. No wonder Mang Jingwei is only a golden elixir stage monk. The relatively powerful skills of Funan sect are only thunder, wind, wood, metal, and fire. The skills of other attributes are not particularly strong. This may be one of the reasons why geniuses choose sects. If the other party's sect doesn't have the technique you want, then change to another sect. There are 5 schools and 3 sects in total, and there will always be one that suits you. A month later, Mang Jingwei used spiritual energy to explore her body. A life is being conceived in her belly. I am pregnant. Mang Jingwei opened her eyes happily. In order to ensure that you were pregnant. During this month, she would go to Li Tianyi to practice martial arts almost every night. Now the results are finally there. Since you're pregnant, let's take a day off and go back to the Mang family. Mang Yorin did not intend to tell the rest of the sect about her pregnancy. Among them was Ji Yu Qingxi. She decided to return to the Mang family, give birth to the child in the Mang family, and then return to Funan sect. By the way, She can also explain to the outside world that the child she gave birth to was a genius born to other women in the Mang family, and she was brought into Funan sect to practice in advance. After all, Mang Jingwei is a golden elixir monk, so she still needs to be a bit shy. If others knew about the relationship between him and Leeni, he wouldn't know where to put his face. Especially when she thought about the way other elders looked at her, she felt that she couldn't face it. In the eyes of the elders, Mang Jingwei is a woman who has kept her integrity to this day in order to die for her Taoist companion. Once it was discovered that she was pregnant, didn't the plaque that Mang Jingwei put up over the past few decades collapse? This kind of thing must not happen. Thinking of this, Mang Jingwei approached Ji Yuqingxi, who was practicing in the main hall. Zongmin Main Hall, you said you want to go back to the family. It will take at least a year. Ji Yuqingxi said doubtfully. 1 year is nothing to her. But what puzzled her was why Mang Jingwei had to leave home for a year. Ever since Taoist Mang Jingwei's accident, she hasn't been back for a long time. Strictly speaking, the Mang family was partly to blame for what happened to her Taoist companion back then. Yes, Lord Sect Leader, I have figured it out over the years. The Mang family is my own family after all. Is there anything I can't deal with? Mang Jingwei explained, pretending to be relieved. Is that so? I understand. If you want to go back, just go back. I promise. Ji Yuqingxi didn't think much about it. Mang Jingwei can think about it, isn't it a reconciliation for herself? Maybe the mood will be peaceful, the knots in the heart will be relieved, and the state of mind will be able to make a breakthrough. Thank you, Lord Sect Master. Watching Mang Jingwei leave, Ji Yuqingxi withdrew her gaze. Why do you think Mang Jingwei is a little strange today? Ji Yuqingxi whispered softly. How are you thinking about it, Qingxi? At this time, an old voice came from Ji Yuqingxi. The person walking slowly was an old woman. She is none other than the strongest person in the Funan sect, the Supreme Elder of the 5th level of nascent soul, Yi Chuyu. The Supreme Elder. I'm still a little confused. Do I really want to do this? When the Supreme Elder asked her about what happened last time, a blush appeared on Ji Yuqingxi's beautiful face. Since she last told the Supreme Elder about Leeni's special qualities, the first suggestion that the Supreme Elder blurted out was that he hoped Ji Yuqingxi could marry Leeni or ask Leeni to have a child. Ji Yuqingxi's thunder spiritual roots must not be wasted. I watched Leeni's other children before. It can be found that not only the quality of the child's spiritual root is related to the child's mother. Even the spiritual root attributes are closely related. Seeing this, Yi Chuyu thought of Ji Yuqingxi's lightning spiritual roots. Ji Yuqingxi's lightning spiritual roots are so powerful, if it weren't for her spiritual roots, they would only be of good quality. Ji Yuqingxi has definitely broken through to the 5th level of nascent soul, and even surpassed Yi Chuyu. Since Ji Yuqingxi can't see the future in her body, Yi Chuyu thought of letting Ji Yuqingxi and Leeni give birth to a super spiritual genius with thunder attributes. Qingxi, all this is for the future of the sect. Think about it, your child has a thunder-type spiritual root, and the quality of the spiritual root is not low. When your child grows up, wouldn't there be a high chance that he can inherit your position as the sect leader? Moreover, look at Leeni. He is just a chi practitioner. After all, his lifespan will not be as long as yours. In 100 years, you will be able to take care of your children alone. Don't worry that Leeni's presence will restrain you. Yi Chuyu persuaded him earnestly. As the Supreme Elder of the sect, everything she does is based on the future of the sect. If her life was not approaching, she would have done it earlier. Where is Ji Yuqingxi's turn? The end of his life does not mean that Yi Chuyu cannot have children. She was worried that after her death, her child would be helpless in the sect. Even those with powerful talents can easily be exploited or even framed. Ji Yuqingxi sighed and said, Sir, I know what you mean, but I really don't know how to face it. Ji Yuqingxi, who had never had a Taoist partner, really didn't know how to choose. That's what she thought. Even if I really find a Taoist companion in the future, you also have to find a monk who you like and whose strength and talent are acceptable. Leeni is very good looking and really catches her eye. The problem is that Leeni's strength and talent are not good enough, which makes Ji Yuqingxi extremely distressed. But Li Tianyi also has a physique that even a super genius cannot possess, the ancient kidney body. It can make the heirs he gives birth to have 100% spiritual roots. Think about it for yourself. You just need to remember one thing. If you hesitate, you will be defeated. By the time you are ready, I am afraid that others will already have descendants. Yi Chuyu could only say so much. She needs to continue to go back inside to practice in seclusion. In his current state, he should try to reduce his actions as much as possible. Listening to the Supreme Elder's words, Ji Yuqingxi fell into deep thought. A month later, Lang Xiu, who had been pregnant for 13 months, finally gave birth. For a while, above the room where Lang Xiu was staying, streams of scorching fire spiritual energy were constantly churning, making the people around him feel the heat. Vision of spiritual roots. That's great, Lord Sect Master. The children Lang Xiu gives birth to are at least geniuses with super-grade spiritual roots. Only those born with spiritual geniuses and special qualities of high-grade spiritual roots and above will have their own visions of heaven and earth. This is the special care that Tao has for these geniuses. Ji Yuqingxi smiled softly. Very good, Li Tianyi did not deceive them. As long as the woman's spiritual roots are high enough, the children she gives birth to will definitely have high enough spiritual roots. This year the sect must go out to recruit disciples and see if we can find talented female disciples. Ji Yuqingxi ordered to Shi Ziyuan. Human greed is unstoppable. I saw the birth of a genius who caused strange phenomena in the world. Ji Yuqingxi began to fantasize, if Li Tianyi could find more women with high-grade spiritual roots, wouldn't there be geniuses with super-grade spiritual roots everywhere? I understand what you mean, Lord Sect Master. Shi Ziyuan smiled. This year Fengyan sect has specially recruited female disciples. No male disciples are required, only female ones. Coupled with some generous benefits, it can finally attract some people. After a while, Lang Xiu walked out holding her child. Test my child's spiritual roots. I am coming, Bai Keliu said. Ding, when the little hand is placed on the spiritual root detection stone. A dazzling red light lit up, and a wisp of flame even rose from the detection stone. Super-grade fire root. There is no need for Bai Keliu to announce now. Everyone who knew the rules of the spiritual root detection stone could not help but exclaim. How long has it been since the entire Yang Zongguo gave birth to a genius with super-grade spiritual roots? Super-grade spiritual roots. Great. Lang Xiu hugged the child excitedly and smiled. How exciting it is to be the mother of a genius. Sir Sect Master, why don't you personally accept this disciple? Shi Ziyuan suggested. Only disciples with super-grade spiritual roots can only be taught by the masters of the nascent soul stage. Li Tianyi. Ji Yuqingxi turned back to Li Tianyi and said, what are you going to name your child? Lang Xiu gave birth to a boy. Just call him Li Yi. Li Tianyi named Dao. This name just fits his super-grade fire-type spiritual roots. Li Yi. That's a good name, Li Tianyi. You should know your own strength very well. I will allow you to take care of this child for a few days. I will teach him the rest. Ji Yuqingxi said. Geniuses with super spiritual roots do not need to wait until they are 3 or 4 years old to practice. You can officially enter spiritual practice at the age of 1. It would be a waste of money to let Li Yi grow up with Li Tianyi. No problem. Li Tianyi knows that he is weak. Where is the power to resist? Anyway, with father's love as strong as a mountain, I am not afraid that my children will grow up and not recognize their father. Ji Yuqingxi was very satisfied with Li Tianyi's performance, so she turned around and led the elders to walk first. Let the sect master take Li Yi to practice. Doesn't it mean that it is difficult for me to see the child? Most of the joy on Lang Xiu's face faded. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.